Yeah, they do. That's literally. Oh, remember?
Okay, I think we're live. This is going to be interesting. So it's morning. My hair's all unkempt because I have not showered yet. Kind of getting into the day. It's Saturday, and this is a day stream, and you're going to hear a lot of talking in the background because the family's up and doing stuff. But I have to grind today. I have to get comics done. And my goal during this stream is going to be to ink this panel. And my hope is to ink the rest of this page. So we'll see how it goes. And then Jake in the chats just joined us and said 100. Yes, I've done 100 of these live streams, which is crazy and kind of awesome. So, oh, that's weird. I wonder why okay, cool. The comments are showing up. So everything's set up. All right, let me let everybody know who I am and all that fun stuff if you're tuning in for the first time. So I'm Joshua Kemble. I've been a freelance illustrator and graphic designer professionally for over 15 years. And I've been an art director for going on 8 years, which is crazy. And that's what I do for my day job, creative work, t-shirts, posters, all sorts of stuff. For my day job, it's like souvenirs. And then when I'm not working on illustration or graphic design, I'm often plugging away at these crazy graphic novels, like the graphic novel, the first volume, which I'm working on volume 2, Two Stories, which is my story about faith and mental illness that I handwrite, hand letter, and hand ink. This is a story that talks about my childhood growing up as a geek and trying to kind of create these little childhood games on playgrounds and playground politics. And then it diverges from there to talk about dealing with depression and panic disorder, as well as the journey to faith. And so this is volume 1, Two Stories. It's available on Amazon. And you can order it. I'd recommend you guys pre-order it. If you haven't bought it yet and you like my streams and stuff like that, I'd encourage it because it's a good way to support indie comics. And it's available at a discounted rate, like I said, on Amazon. You can also request that your local comic shop order it from Ingram. So there's that. That's one book. And that's what I'm going to be working on volume 2 of during this stream. And then there's also Jacob's Apartment, which is coming out this year from Graphic Mundi in June. And this is a story about Jacob and Sarah, who are polar opposites. They've been roommates for years. Jacob is sort of reeling from his father's sickness. His father has cancer. And Sarah is going through one-night stands, trying to kind of fill the absence of her boyfriend who moved to New York to become an editor for a major publisher. And basically, Jacob is struggling with questioning his faith, and Sarah is questioning kind of her identity as a whole. And as they're going through this tumultuous life struggles, they start finding commonality through their shared dream and love of literature. And so it kind of follows the story of Jacob and Sarah and their interlocking dreams. And it's sort of a doomed love story, doomed romance story in the vein of Ghost World and Fun Home that basically talks about the questions that can shake even the strongest of faith. And it's a full color, 136-page graphic novel that I wrote, illustrated, and I'm really proud of it. And it's coming out from Graphic Mundi, I believe, June 7th. So it got pushed a little bit because of, I think, the paper shortage that's going on in the printing industry. Originally, we were going for a May release. But I'm really proud of this book. So both of these books I'm really proud of. But this one you should pre-order or ask your local bookstore to kind of order it and carry this. Just go to them and say, hey, Jacob's Apartment, Joshua Kemble, can you pre-order this graphic novel? It comes out in June. So that's my plugs. Those are out of the way. And now I'm going to kind of get to working on stuff. and trying to wake up. You'll notice also during this stream, I am not a morning person at all. So I'm probably not going to be as on point as I am at night. And I'm not usually all that on point. So that'll be interesting to see how that works. Let's see here. All right. So basically my goal is just to grind today and get a bunch of art done. I'm also not feeling too great. Like I'm a little under the weather. And so I've like missed like 2 days of productivity. So to catch up to where I should have been this morning, I need to like ink these 2 panels. And once I'm there, I'm where I should have been today. So we'll see how that goes. And as I'm working, I'll just kind of talk about whatever comes to mind. I think Scott's joining us. I think we're being joined by Scott Circling. Scott, I was going to say thumbs up when you're ready.
I'm just going to let myself in.
Right. How's it going, buddy?
Good. I can probably hang out for, let's see, what time is it now? Like 10? I can probably hang out for a couple hours.
Nice. I'm basically just gonna probably stream while inking this panel, and then like I figure when I'm done with that, I'll probably like break for lunch.
Okay.
But I'm planning on doing on and off streams probably all day because I'm like way behind.
Okay.
How are you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. Yesterday was just basically, since I'm going to be heading up to California next weekend to meet up with you guys. You're going to meet up there with us, right?
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah. So because of that, I had to get 2 videos done. I had 2 videos in the can, so I spent most of my day just working on videos and stuff.
Nice.
Well, actually 3, because I did a little video for my patrons and stuff. So I'm going to be talking about me, kind of chronicling the process of moving my studio and everything to this room over here. It's a spare bedroom right now.
Dude, that's rad. I think that's helpful too, because like I think a lot of, especially younger artists, like they're always, well, no, not just younger artists. Like I'm always curious about people's art spaces and stuff.
Yeah.
By the way, is it hard to understand what I'm saying with all of the noise in the room, or you guys can hear me?
I can hear you. I mean, there's definitely some noise in the background, but I can hear what you're saying.
Okay.
When you're talking, your noise is louder. Your voice is louder than the background noise.
Got it. Okay. It's one blessing of having like a really loud voice. Like it's funny. So my sister and I both have like these obnoxiously loud voices. And it's been like a blessing and curse, because it's like she's ended up teaching, or like now she's like a librarian. She does like book reading to kids and stuff. And for me as a manager, it's great to have a loud voice, because if you're talking to like 6 people in a room, like if you can project, it's really beneficial. But it's not so great if you're having like a one-on-one conversation at like a restaurant. People are like, dude, the volume can come down a little bit.
And if you're a librarian with a loud voice, you can't really shush people without sounding like a hypocrite,
Yeah, that's true, man. That's true. But anyhow, I think like that's pretty cool to like see like how people's studios are set up and stuff. So everyone, you guys should all be like, on Scott's Patreon. It's cool. If you were on Scott's Patreon, you would have gotten a really cool mini comic like a week or 2 ago.
Yeah. You can still, if you still join, just message me on instant or whatever they call it, direct message me on Patreon, and I'll send you one.
Dude, see, there's benefits, guys. And then you showed me like in chat, like we have a little Artcasters like group chat on Facebook, and Scott posted pictures of lesser known comics that got sent to him.
Yeah, that was actually one of the videos. That probably won't be up until a couple weeks.
Oh, nice.
I backed the lesser known comics Kickstarter, and they sent me a bunch of stuff, and I was really impressed, because I've been working with them, coaching their team and everything.
Yeah.
And carrying kind of the ins and outs of what's going on, and some of the struggles to get files looking correct and all that stuff, and to see everything. It looks good. They're really off to an awesome start with what they're doing. doing and everything.
Yeah, and I feel like the owner just has such a like really rad attitude towards creatives. Like,
yeah.
you know, I think I might have mentioned this, but like at LA Comic-Con, he stopped by my booth and gave me some free comics and stuff, you know, and like talked to me for a while. And it was just such a cool idea that like a publisher is gonna, like a small press publisher, like flew out, covered a hotel room for like his creatives, and like was there like boothing with them. And he was saying like he was viewing it as like research, you know, for like future shows, but he also wants to support his artists. And I was just like, I think his attitude, inevitably it's gonna lead to success for that company, because he just has such a, like, I don't know, he seems like he'd be a cool guy to work with, you know.
Yeah, so the video they shot, because I unboxed some of his stuff, and that whole video was kind of on print on demand versus offset printing and kind of the pros and cons to each.
Yeah.
It surprises me, you know, because right now he's doing print on demand, and he's got a lot of color books, and usually I wouldn't recommend print on demand for color because the price is just it's usually not, there's not much of a profit, but he's doing a lot of stuff with Comics Wellspring, and they're doing like these larger print runs, and I don't know. I'd have to look into it, because he's at least, I mean, eventually he will switch over to offset, I think.
Yeah.
And the good thing is that the Comics Wellspring, they've got their sister company is you know, is an offset printer.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that.
So you know, he's talking with all the people that are there on you know, on the team and their customer service and everything. So when he gets to that point where he decides he's going to move to offset, it's going to be kind of a smooth, you know, transition.
That's awesome.
But I was really surprised with it, because they fulfilled the Kickstarter too, Comics Wellspring, and there was a bunch of extras, and even like I got this. There was like this little mini comic. I mean, a lot of their comics are mini comics, but they're standard size. They're just smaller. You know, and there's supplementary material in the back, like sketches and some ads and things like that. But there was like a mini comic, and I didn't even know they did that kind of size. So they're doing all kinds of stuff over there. So it's kind of cool. I'm gonna have to, you know, because I'm still doing print on demand for my floppies. You know, when I do my trade, I'm gonna go offset, but because I can make it work, because mine's black and white and everything, and so. But yeah, I'm really kind of impressed with what they're doing over there.
Yeah, that's actually something I should mention. I don't know if I've mentioned to people, but it's like, so when I did this book, part of what made it a hard pitch for people is it's an indie comic that's slice of life, which is like a really niche market, but it's also the fact that it's full color, right? Because the second you go offset, which this book is, right, in full color, your cost of printing is almost double. Like,
is it really? See, that kind of surprises me with offset, because a lot of times and maybe it's a different process, but I guess, but when they, you know, like postcards and things like that, usually there's like no difference in color or black and white.
Yeah, especially if you're doing like big bulk printing, you know, but when you get into book printing, like offset, at least traditional stuff, you can still get like a one color, because you're talking one plate as opposed to 4 plates. So it's like, it's literally 4 times less the manual. I think the cost, the physical cost, like the materials probably don't cost much more. I think it's more just the setups are like way more expensive. And then obviously for like big runs, you know, when you're doing thousands, it's like those extra ink charges also add up and stuff. But yeah, like if you're doing a comic, like this is just for anybody out there like watching this after the fact, and they're like indie cartoonists or whatever. I personally prefer black and white comics. And so that's why I chose to do 2 stories as a black and white, but it also does up your opportunities for self-publishing, and as well as like appealing to a publisher. Like if you're not like an established name, when you're presenting something, if you're like, hey, this is also going to cut costs, you know, because it's black and white, like that's actually appealing for a lot of publishers. Because again, Scott and I have talked about this a million times on like when we're on Artcasters normally, but it's like half of the job you're trying to do is like alleviate fears of risk for a business. Because risk is what freaks people out. Like risk is what makes publishers pass on a book, right? So the less risk it is for them to publish it, like the more likely they are to publish it,
Yeah. And the dirty little secret, I guess it's not really a secret, but I mean, black and white comics sell for the same price as a color comic.
Exactly.
And they cost less to produce. I mean, sure there's the amount of work that you put into it and everything too. And there is a little more work with color because you got to have a colorist, or if you're coloring it yourself. Yeah. But like Walking Dead sells for the same as a Marvel or DC, and it's black and white. So I mean,
yeah. So their profit margin's like way higher.
And Walking Dead is probably the best-selling comic maybe ever at least in certain genres and things, or certain areas.
Yeah, easily.
Black and white. So don't sleep on black and white.
Yeah, but I will say if you're doing all ages, like color isn't a bad approach, especially if you're trying to get like a Scholastic or like even the book that I'm doing with my sister, they're like at the final part of the script. So I'm just like, that's why today I'm just going to do like crunch time on 2 stories and get as much done this weekend as I can. Because it might be next weekend that I have to just put everything aside and go like full throttle on the Not Death But Love book.
Yeah.
But with that book, because we're appealing to like it's sort of all ages. It's not all ages, it's like young, it's like YA almost, like young adult.
Yeah.
But because of that, like we're doing color. And so it's limited color, but it's like even the publisher had the option of like color or not. And of course they're gonna go color if it's kids.
Yeah.
Which is sad because I'm like, I don't know. Like I like that Bone is picked up by Scholastic, and if anybody out there hasn't read Bone, dude, like you guys are missing out. It's one of the best comics ever made. But it's like I don't like the Scholastic one as much as just the big Bible one where it's like black and white, because the book was made to be black and white initially, and it's so much better in black and white because his inks are so good. But I will say I kind of get it because like my kid, we got like a deal on these Captain Underpants books where because he's really into Dave Pilkey stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like it was one of those like, oh, okay, you get all 10 books for like $30. And so we ordered that, and then he had this like noticeable disappointment because they were black and white as opposed to the
Dogman in black. Is Dogman in color?
Yeah, Dogman's in color. So is Captain Underpants. It's just that like Scholastic, like a lot of book publishers, they have like a lower cost version where they do a print run in black and white that they can sell for like dirt cheap.
Really? Because I've been going through cleaning out stuff, and I was going through, and this is kind of funny, but like my kids are in their 20, except for my daughter, but Captain Underpants, they read those, and I could have swore the one that I looked at was black and white.
Well, that's the thing. The ones we bought them are black and white, but the really nice like hardcover ones are in color.
Right.
And so it's like there was a noticeable difference. Like at the end of the day, once we read it, he didn't mind. He enjoyed it because it's a good story regardless.
Yeah.
But it was just the fact that I definitely can see like my kid, at least when he buys books, like he does like color.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just maybe it's just because now everything's on the computer. So I mean, obviously, everything digitally. I mean, typically you're gonna have it be color.
Yeah.
But like when we were growing up looking at comics in the newspaper, except for the Sundays, they were all black and white. So.
But then again, even growing up, like I remember like one of the fun things about like Calvin and Hobbes was like, the color versions on Sundays were really exciting.
Those watercolors,
yeah, because you had like full color, and you're like, ooh, Sunday pages were the best, So at least when I was a kid, so I kind of get it, and I know like when I used to work in educational art, like early on, they always had this rule where you were supposed to make everything look like it was candy, like
Okay, yeah.
So they that was basically the kind of sniff test for like whether you should put something out, is like, does the color look edible? Like, does it look like something makes you hungry? Like it's candy, you know?
Yeah, it's similar to mobile games when I was doing like mobile games and Facebook games. Of course, a lot of those games were about candy.
Yeah.
Or food or drink. We did one game called, it was kind of a cool game, and it wasn't anything like it. And I wish it would have done better because I kind of helped come up with the concept. But it was called Soda Pop Drop. I think it was called, or Soda Pop, something like that. But basically, it was all these tubes, and this soda's pouring down these tubes, and you have to move the tubes fast enough so there's not a break in the chain. And it was such a cool, and I don't know too many other games like it, but it didn't do very well, so it was kind of weird.
That's too bad. It must have been kind of fun because I never got to work in games, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I did like a little bit of concept art for like Activision with like Chris Oatley back in the day, for like Legends of Zork or something. But even then, like it wasn't really like I think it failed partially because it was like trying to just be the original Legends of Zork, but with like cool illustrations.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't have any like moving components to it. But I've never done like an illustration for a game where you're like seeing like stuff you designed like move and be animated and also like be able to be interacted with. That's got to be like a really thrilling thing, you know, like.
Yeah,
I would imagine that would have been pretty fun, you know.
Yeah, that was a really fun job for a lot of reasons. But yeah, it's kind of weird. Like the one game that we did that was the most successful was Miscrits was kind of like a Pokemon style game. So it's like, you know, and it was cool. It had its own original, things to it.
Yeah.
But you know, it's like. That's kind of always the way it is. It's you try to come up with something totally different.
Yeah.
And people like they just don't, it's like, oh, you want something that's similar to something else.
Yeah, like so yesterday while I was at work, actually it was like Thursday. We've had him on the show. Do you remember Rick Reese?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. He's like a friend of mine from like we were in grad school together. He was actually one of my teachers like when I was an undergrad, and then we were like in grad school together, and we both like punk rock and post-hardcore and stuff. So like, we became really kind of good friends. Like, and when I used to live in Long Beach, we'd hang out all the time, you know, and go to shows together and stuff. But he texted me like on Thursday, kind of like we do with Artcasters, where like a guest drops out, and you're like, "Hey, do you want to like come on Artcasters?" You know, and he was like, "Dude, we have a guest speaker at Cal State Long Beach, and they ducked out. Do you mind talking to my class? Like, just give them some tips on like starting out in professional art." I was like, "Sure." So it's like an hour. So I just kind of snuck it in during my like lunch at work, you know, and just expanded my lunch a little bit and did a Zoom meeting to talk to these students. But that was one of the things I was trying to explain to them was like the fact that you don't really get to pick a lot of the time, like what the thing you're going to be known for is, you know, because anytime I'm talking to artists, I usually, especially with like students who really care, like they're the ones who want to know like, hey, what clients did you work for, you know? Where it's like, I think for you and I, it's like we just want to see cool art, you know?
Yeah. I stopped listing clients a while ago.
Yeah.
Well, probably because I don't really look for doing a lot of client work,
but you know, like I do remember when I was younger, if I had a teacher and they had worked for like Nike or something, I'd be like, they know their stuff. So I always start out like those talks with like my most known thing, and it's that puppet checkup design, you know.
Oh yeah.
And I love using it as an example because it's such a weird thing, because there's designs that I spent hours, like days on. That design I literally spent 30 minutes on, and it's made me more money than any design I've ever done. It's more all over the internet than anything I've ever done, and it's literally a 30-minute
I thought that would be like Attack of Literacy or something, but no.
Attack of Literacy was up there, but I don't think anything peaked quite to that extent.
Yeah.
And
well, because it ties into something again, some people already
exactly.
know, you know?
Yeah,
Not that people don't know literary figures, but
yeah, that's the heartbreaking thing about it is like, a sketch you do in 30 minutes can make you more than like something you dedicate like 5 years on,
yeah.
But it's like, but yeah, it was funny to see like, yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with it just being connected with something that people already love, because yeah, I don't think I'm gonna have that kind of notoriety for like 2 stories or something. But I enjoy it, But anyhow, it was just funny to see that like Scott, I actually should recommend. I'll recommend you to Rick too, because he was talking about having another one of those.
Is it? It's not in person.
No. They're just like Zoom stuff.
Oh, okay.
Because it's like I think a lot of the university system right now is kind of doing a lot of Zoom classes.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I'd do that.
Yeah, but I'll recommend you to him too. It was fun to talk to the kids, like the students, because they're all like seniors. But it was like one of them. Okay, Scott, I'm curious what your reaction to this would be. But it was the student was going. I started freelancing a little bit, and I kind of think I might be undercharging, but I blah 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 blah, and I kind of think I might be undercharging. Maybe I'm not charging enough, but maybe I am. And what would your reaction to that be? Because it was probably the same.
You don't even have to tell me what you're charging. You're undercharging.
That's exactly what I told her. I was like, yeah, you're undercharging. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, if you're doing that much back and forth about, yeah, maybe yeah, you're probably way undercharging.
Even right now, I would say, yeah, I'm undercharging. Although right now, because once you get in that position where you're not really looking to do client work,
yeah,
and then a client comes along with a cool project that is like the kind of stuff you like to do, like drawing robots and things like that, and they want to put you on retainer, and you say, well, okay, that's going to take up a lot of time for me doing my personal stuff. So I am just I'm going to actually charge what it's going to take to have me taken away from all this other stuff that I really like to do, and I'm going to charge a premium for that.
Yeah.
But so I threw out this I would say sort of astronomical number, and then first I thought that they weren't going to go with it, and then they did, and then you get the feeling like, oh, and then you get that kind of imposter syndrome, like, is what I'm doing really worth that? I'm like, and I have a personal coach that I talk with, basically repeated stuff I already know, like, okay, how long have you been doing this? And I'm like, yeah, I've been doing this for like 30 years. And it's just, so, and then he says, well, how many hours does it take to be a master of something? It's like, okay, 10,000 hours. And we factored how many hours. And it's like, I've been putting into this, and it's like, I don't know. I forgot what we came up with. 70,000 hours, or I don't know what it was, but it was.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird when you start getting to the point where like you get confused about the amount of decades you've been doing something. That's where it gets really interesting. Where you're like, has it really been almost, like for me, it's almost 20 years. I'm not quite there, so I'm still saying 15 because it's a nice round 5. But it's like weird to have done something for like almost 20 years,
Yeah.
And for I don't know. It is funny though how that works. And what's funny is it's kind of like dating, where when you're not looking, that's when the clients just like pour in and start paying ridiculous amounts, and you're like, look, I really kind of don't want the work. I just want to draw my comics, and they're like, no, we'll pay you like this absurd amount, and you're like, okay, I guess I have to do that now. You like quote them something that makes it like, I was joking with Corey about this too, where it's like you quote something where you're like, this is what would make it worth it for me, but it's too much. And then they're like, yeah, that's what we'll do that. And you're like, oh man, now I gotta. Anyhow, But yeah, it is funny how that's imposter syndrome, because really that's probably just what you should have been quoting all along, you know?
Yeah. And the good thing is, once you do that, then the next thing comes along. You're not gonna bid like super low. I mean, you're like, no, I'm worth it, and and the client that I'm working with is just loving everything that I'm doing. So
yeah, well, and the experience is worth a lot, because even what I was talking to those students about, that they're just not they're gonna undercharge, right? And I kind of told them that. I was like, you guys are probably gonna just not charge fairly. Like, you're gonna undercharge. Like, yeah, pretty much everybody, as a young artist hears like, oh, you're undercharging, and then they undercharge, and it really just takes just doing the math and realizing it's not sustainable to really do, right? Because it's like, if you're doing it as a hobby, that's one thing, but like, once your rent and stuff depends on it, you start being a little more honest with your assessment of what you need to do a job. But we already have done that for like so many years, that you can give a really accurate turnaround time and accurate quote for like what it's going to take. You've already factored in like the cost of supplies and like rent and like the percentage of electricity you're going to be using and whatever materials you need to buy. Like, you have that kind of built in, and also the right questions to ask like the client in order to get what they want. Whereas like newer designers are often like kind of too worried about the client to like actually service the client. So it's like, yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the best route. Hang on a second. There's going to be some weirdness for a second. I don't know why it disconnects. I have a hidden account that I use for my chats. And so now one disconnected. So now I'm pulling up the other. So if I'm losing touch with chats, forgive me. Frank, if you want to hop in, man, we can send you a link too. We'd be happy to have you in our conversation.
I was going to say, Frank, I'd be happy to charge more for my stuff. He says he underpaid.
He underpaid for Scott Circling stuff?
I think there's a lot here, so I haven't read the whole thing, so I might be missing something.
I'm just bummed
it's worth it to me, Scott. Yes, I knew they were undercharging. Maybe he wasn't talking about me. I'm trying to go back here.
Okay, let me try to get. I'm trying to get comments pulled up here on. Okay, there we go. He said, "It's worth it to me, Scott. I underpay. Grift them all. Sure, link me up." He wants to give you more money. That's the best. Oh, Frank, let me give you the link. So we're gonna be.
I got Adam's comic in the mail the other day. It was probably a week or so ago. But it like, I don't know, what was it? What's the service that it's through, Indie Planet or whatever?
Yeah.
I hate to keep bashing on Kablam because I think they're affiliated, and it could be the paper shortages, it could be a number of things, but it took a long time for me to get that book. But it was worth it. It was worth it.
Jake's gonna join too. Let me see. Where are you, Jake? Yeah, it's the quality that people can do is kind of impressive. Okay, so I sent you guys, Frank and Jake. I sent you guys some links. Ooh, yeah, the quality that they can do with like on demand is just unbelievable now. It's kind of reminds me of like. Do you remember like it was about the era of time where I was like active in t-shirt art, where screen printing was still king. It was like you had like digital prints for like DTS printing and stuff, and like direct to garment, just it didn't look good. Like it still looked like an iron-on.
I remember the time where it looked like an iron-on. Like,
yeah.
First of all, you couldn't really do anything on anything but white, and it had that weird border around it.
Yes.
I mean, from far away you might not be able to see it, but once you got close, and it was kind of crinkly.
And then you'd wash it like 3 times.
Oh yeah,
Design was gone. Yeah.
I've got a bunch because we did that process for back when I did the children's show years and years ago. And in my garage, I still got a bunch of those T-shirts, and I chucked a bunch of them. I think I kept a couple just to keep, but yeah, I kind of had that weird look to it. It's weird how all that changes.
But then there was like this sea change moment, and here's where it was. It's like the first big revolutionary thing was like they got to the point where they could pretty much look almost identical. It's still not perfect. It still is not as good as screen printing, but it's really close to where on light colored T-shirts they got there. But they had the limit of like they couldn't do it on dark.
Right.
And then the second they overcame that, and we're like, okay, we can do this on dark T-shirts. It was just like every T-shirt company just switched gears because like the print on demand for shirts like started actually having this high quality. So I feel like I'm seeing that with books now, where, you know, like 10 years ago, like print on demand books just were like noticeably different, you know?
Yeah.
And now it's like less noticeable. It's hard to tell. Hey Jake, how's it going, buddy?
Yeah, especially you can still tell it more with the floppies because they still have that weird thing where they don't kind of fold all the way. But as far as like trades, like I've got this, you know, this is Sean's book that we had on. These larger books. I mean, I can't tell the difference. I in my video I held this up to like, you know, I held it up to a Walking Dead or something that was offset. And there's like no difference. If there is, it is so minimal. Most people can't even tell the difference. I can barely tell the difference. I mean, the blacks are super solid. I mean, he does all kinds of screen tones and stuff. It all looks great. So I mean, maybe with, you know, it could be a difference in color too. But I'll have to take a look at some of that stuff I got from lesser known comics, but because they had a lot of color stuff. But I think it's the same thing. I think it looks really good.
Yeah, it's really close. I think the big thing they need to bypass is color, because I feel like they kind of have it nailed with black and white, but with color, there is like a thing where quite often if they're getting it noticeably close, they're still doing like a fiery print type process. So you see the black kind of raised a little bit.
Yeah.
I think the second they can get it to be kind of like flat and still get those like deep, rich blacks, like that's where it'll be like the game has changed.
Can Frank let himself in? Oh yeah, he can. Okay.
All right, so we got Frank and Jake. Jake, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. How are you holding up
Scott
right now?
was in the middle of like a sentence, so I didn't want to cut him.
Oh yeah, understandable. How are you holding up, buddy?
Just been pushing pages.
All right, that's the way to do it.
So I woke
and then
up without any motivation whatsoever, and then I figured, well, maybe the stream will drive me into production.
hell yeah, that's what this is for. This is an art hangout where we're gonna make some comics, guys. So that sounds good. Frank, how's it going?
It's going good. Just coloring some pages.
Nice. Have you guys had any progress in catching the mail thief?
I haven't caught them yet, but I did talk to the super here, and he was telling me just keep an eye out on one of the people that just moved in. But I've been just kind of like posting up there when I know I'm gonna be getting something. I'll just go stand by the post office.
Do you know when your mail carrier comes? Like about what they usually come about the same time?
Yeah, it varies. It's usually either around 12 or right before 2 p.m. So
and the people are taking it before that, before the mail carrier comes, or
they're
like
right
after?
right when he comes, like right after he comes, because there was one. The second one that you had sent, like I was actually outside doing laundry because there's like a little laundromat section. So I had checked and there was nothing there, and then I was like getting clothes and stuff, and then I checked again, and it was there. So I had just missed the mailman. So I don't know, it was maybe like 10, 15 minutes. So like in that time, they went and like opened it, but they
Yeah,
ain't take anything.
After the mailman comes or whatever mail carrier comes, go out and get your mail and then stick a
That's what I've
like a
been doing
mousetrap or
since I
something
go-
in there.
I like the idea of yeah. You could have like a trap letter that's just full of feces or something, and just be like, there you go.
I'm thinking of doing something like that. Just put like an envelope and so like I know it's you.
Oh, I think we lost Jake. I did want to mention Jim is making some awesome jokes. He said, "How do you know the thief is a male?" Which I think is hilarious. And then he also said, "Watching you like a hawk with like a little hawk icon," which makes me instantly think of the sound of a hawk just going caw. So Jim, you're welcome to hop on too, but I'm guessing he's probably doing his morning stuff and just has us on.
Yeah, Jim.
And now he's going to make a joke about me. He's like, I'm not in mourning. No.
I need to reach out to Jim very soon so I can start planning this trip and everything.
Yeah, guys, we got to plan our little buddy meetup. Yeah. And then depending on what happens with feedback on the script, I might have to be like drawing while I'm hanging out with you guys.
Well, I figured we probably want to do like some kind of drink and draw or something.
Ooh, a drink and draw sounds like an excellent
yeah.
plan. I know that like in Pasadena, this is Jim's turf. Like Jim will be able to be the little old lady from Pasadena that's gonna show us around. And I think he was talking about possibly Ken Mora joining us too, which is great.
Yeah, he did mention that. I never heard back from Gene. I asked to talk to Gene, but so.
You got to clarify that you're not talking about Gene Simmons, because people might start thinking you're talking about yourself, Scott. It's like,
I'm going to show up in full Gene Simmons regalia.
What you guys don't realize is that Scott
couldn't do, but
you're like, I don't know, I got to consult with Gene, and then it's like 5 minutes later, the back view is you talking to yourself. You're like, I don't know, Gene, should you show up? Let's see here. My sketchbook 340 was saying, "Hola amigos, que pasa?" And then said, "What's going on, Joshua? What's the topic today?" Well, this isn't like quite as official as like Artcasters. This is just kind of a hangout, so the topic's sort of whatever comes to mind. It can be almost anything. And then Frank, you were mentioning something like Adam had a debate on his stream or something recently.
It wasn't on Adam's stream. It was actually on Brett Keen's stream. They had a truce, and Brett invited him to come on and debate with Kent Hovind. It was actually pretty good. Like it wasn't. It was a good debate on both sides. So it was interesting.
That's interesting. I don't know. My experience with Brett Keen was so like I don't know, fascinating.
Yeah, Brent didn't really talk that much. He just asked questions, but it was mostly Kent and Adam, so that was good just watching them.
That's interesting. I'll try to track that down if Brett doesn't take it off his channel.
It should I put a link to it in the chats.
Oh, cool. Awesome. I'm going to watch that. I hope Adam held his own. I'm sure Adam held his own.
Oh, yeah. Like, it wasn't mean-spirited. They actually agreed on some things. So.
Interesting.
Adam just wanted to talk dinosaurs mostly.
Oh, no. I want to see it, though. That'd be cool. Yeah, dude. Oh, what was this? Man, when I was asked a question, I was like, okay, he's in interview mode. Wait, what is this? Oh, he was saying, God bless you for saying it's a niche market. So many like to compare themselves to huge crowdfunders when I've told them that they're a niche market unto themselves with indie comics. And then he said, I was asked a question. I was like, okay, he's in interview mode. I didn't notice I had rewound to the beginning of the stream. Okay, I'm not following. I'm sorry. I'm trying to follow that one. And then Gary was asking a debate about what? Oh, we're joined. We're joined by Uncle Jimmy here. It's Jimmy.
Gary, you like some of that debate.
This is Jimmy the Lutes. He's a notorious mobster from the LA area. What's going on, Jimmy the
Can you
Lutes?
guys hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Why are you always making jokes?
What do I seem funny to you?
Like, this is
What am I, a
serious.
comedian?
What am I,
Okay.
some kind of clown here?
Don't you know what's
Okay, that was
going
a
on
bit
in the
more
world? No time for jokes.
That's true.
I can't tell you where I'm at right now, but let me just say there's lots of stars here, and I'm sure they have
And
bugs.
some bucks.
But
Nice.
no, hey guys, I just popped on to comment really quick for next week. Yes, Scott, I'm very excited that you're coming to town. I absolutely 100% think we should find a spot to camp out and work on our projects. I think that would be because I normally do it by myself. This will be good. Then I'll actually have real humans to talk to.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
I'm thinking. I know Pasadena. I love Pasadena, but I'm thinking there might be more options in Burbank.
That's true.
So we'll play it by ear.
Yeah, because I want to like book an Airbnb or something soon, so I'll need to know like the whereabouts.
What was that bar that we went to in Burbank?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like with Ken and like oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
I'll find a name of it. That would be a really good location.
Yeah, that was a pretty good spot, and it was kind of
Yeah.
like not super packed. Hopefully it's open though. That's the
So I was part of me was thinking Cantor's, but then Cantor's, like once you leave Cantor's, it's kind of sketchy. It's just like there's really nothing around Hollywood like that for us.
I do love Cantor's though. I mean,
Cantor's
that is one of my
great.
favorite
I know.
spots.
I just went there like 2 weeks ago.
I mean, you get to feel like, you're either like a very famous cartoonist by being there, or you get to feel like a rad 80s butt rocker. But they actually have really good food, like excellent food.
Yeah.
I like Cantor's a lot.
But yeah, so I'm thinking Pasadena as a candidate, but Pasadena, all the places I know are small to hang out, like small little coffee shops. But Burbank, yeah, that one place we went in Burbank would be a good, and there's lots of places out there too.
Yeah,
So-
it's a walkable, like there's areas there where you could like go for a stroll and end up at like a lot of cool locations.
Yeah, anywhere. And I think as far as places to stay, there's more options out there too in Pasadena and Burbank. Pasadena and Burbank practically neighbor each other, anyways.
Yeah, they're kind of like San Fernando and Silmar. They're like the exact same.
They're kind of like San Fernando and Sun. But anyways,
That's such
I feel
a deep cut. I love it.
every time we talk about this get together, part of my heart feels sad because I feel bad for Gary. Poor Gary.
I know.
And
I mean, it sucks.
got-
I thought we were gonna have a cool road trip,
But not Frank, because that Frank, I'm telling you, that guy, he's not on this call, is he? Because that restraining order, it applies to internet too.
Oh
Hey,
yeah,
Frank.
I just got that in the mail. That's the one thing they didn't steal, Jim. They didn't steal the restraining order. So
They did not steal your dignity. They can't take away your dignity. But that's terrible. I think there should be a death penalty for messing with people's mail.
That's
Yeah.
what I've been saying.
Yeah.
The laws.
But
crime, though, so.
but yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. We'll chat more on that. But I just wanted to chime in, and I'm saying 100% because Scott, I hope you don't think I'm going to take you to the fair or something.
Well, I wanted to know like I know we're gonna do this Saturday, right?
Mm-hmm. And I'm free Sunday too, so.
You're free Sunday. Okay. Well,
Yeah, I mean, I know you'll probably
I may
head
head
back
back on Sunday. I'm just trying to figure out when I should leave. If I should leave like later on Friday or
Now.
Funnily enough, when I was a youth, I used to go to Tucson all the time, and we'd pass right through Phoenix,
What is
and we would leave in the middle of the night a lot of times. But I think if you were to leave at like noon, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, anytime like you could probably stay for lunch Sunday and then head out, and you'd make it back. It wouldn't be late when you got
right?
back.
Yeah.
And then yeah, all Saturday I'm free all Saturday. I'm actually even free, I think, Friday night.
Yeah,
but I don't
let
know
me
when you're
know
getting in.
because that's what I'm trying to figure out when I should leave to go there. You know, and if
The
there's
question-
stuff around there that I can occupy myself. You know,
What
if you
about
aren't
you,
available on
Josh?
Friday night.
What is your
What's up?
timeline?
Hang on a sec. What's up?
Hey, I know that kid.
Have I already in?
I don't think
Yeah.
so. You should go ask your mom. Or not your mom. Sorry, she's
Oh,
napping.
Jim,
Go
I
ask your
sent you
grandma.
She
something
is your
I don't think
mom.
you ate anything.
So.
She is your mom, Ben.
Yeah.
What's
Sorry,
that,
what's
Frank?
up? What was the question?
I don't
your
know.
mom?
We got interrupted when Ben came and asked for cigarettes. We got kind of
Yeah,
distracted.
he's like, hey, Dad, I need some smokes. What's going on here?
Where's my smoke?
Frank,
Dad?
what were you gonna say, Frank?
Jim, I sent you something the other day, so you should
Yeah,
probably
I'm
get
not.
it like
You know what?
next week.
I thought the nude pictures were kind of a little bit too much.
Oh,
Yes.
then
I'm
ignore
cool with
this
it,
batch.
I'm cool with it, but you know, this timing.
Is your
No,
wife
did you
getting
send me
upset?
something the other day in the mail or in the email?
In the mail, just recently, like so like you'll probably
You know
get
what?
sometime next week.
Somebody came to my porch and stole it. It's crazy. He had a T-shirt with a Texas flag on it. It was kind of.
They're just
weird.
making sure no one gets my comics.
It was Ted Cruz.
Yeah. It's like it was hard to tell he was Texan until he pulled out a Bowie knife and was like, "Get away, man, get away."
You know, I didn't know he was Texan until I tried to take away his gun. So I didn't get it yet, Frank, but I'll look out for it.
So good.
Is it Frank? Is it money?
Yes, it's money.
Is
It's
it like
the
a
child
stack
support
of
I owe you.
child support? Good, Frank, because I was going to say you're being very deadbeat to me, and you know, as a son, you know, Daddy never took me to the park. Remember when you took me to the park?
Pay.
Frank, remember when you took me to the park and you just left me?
I remember that time. I was
sucks.
talking to some chicks and you ran off for a minute.
I just saw your Camaro burn out.
Oh,
Very
man.
sad.
So let's see. My sketchbook said, okay, they were kind of clarifying what the confusion part was. He said, you didn't acknowledge the chat, and the chat wasn't matching what I was talking about. So he went back to the start of the stream. Okay, that makes sense. And I'm trying to acknowledge the chat right now. Peter was saying, hey to Jake and Gary and my sketchbook 340. And then Gary was saying,
What about me, Pete?
I feel bad too. Interesting. I don't know what that connects to. And then Jim said, let's just be friends.
Yes. So, hey,
Okay.
real quick, before I go, because I am actually working on something here. See, I'm working on a screensaver. Before I go, I did want to know, Josh, what is your schedule looking like Saturday?
Oh,
like
yeah.
time-wise?
So, I mean, Saturday I can probably make the whole day available. I'm not sure. Is this going to be another thing I was going to ask is like, is this just the guys? Is this going to be like family stuff? Like, I'm not sure exactly how to do.
Not to be a bro, but Leanne's actually getting together with her girlfriends that day.
Got it. Okay, that's good to know. So yeah, I should be able to do the whole day then. And I think that would be pretty fun. But yeah, I'll keep the full day clear. So
first we're gonna go hunting in the morning. Then we're gonna wrestle.
There's a lot of good hunting areas in Pasadena and in like Glendale especially.
Then we're gonna in the middle of the day we'll wrestle.
Kayaking bears?
Maybe.
Is that what you call it, Jim?
No, but
you got me.
There are bears wearing khakis. So.
Oh, okay.
But anyways, we'll figure out where we're sitting. So just plan on it'll be lunch, draw, dinner, draw,
lunch and draw,
and then get bailed out of jail.
Mm-hmm. I like that idea.
In jail.
Okay.
Definitely bring bail money, Scott. Yeah.
All right.
I'll send you some, guys.
I like it. We're all gonna be calling Frank. Frank, you gotta bail us out, man.
Not again, Josh. This is the
Love
last
it.
time. Oh, Scott, I got like a good report on one of your products because
A good report on one of my products.
yeah, because I've been using the templates,
Mm-hmm.
the ones from the comic kits. I adjusted the two of them because I just wanted the male and the female. So I started using them in the support group that I'm in, and I had the teens when I was able to facilitate with the teens and just draw, and they used it like just had them like draw out their personalities, and so like it's coming in handy.
That's cool.
So yeah.
Pete says, I got a get out of jail free card from Monopoly. That could work.
Oh, did you get the stuff all right, Scott? The stuff I sent.
Yeah. I think I still have it up here. Let me see. Yeah, I was looking at. I read everything, and it's funny because I was reading the mini comics, and I wasn't even paying attention to the numbering system. I just picked them up, and I'm like, okay, I'll read this one. And somehow, miraculously, I read them all in order. I'm like, oh, these continue.
Yeah, and
But yeah, no, I got them all right here. Oh, I love the sketch card. Let's see.
okay.
Yeah, I just been getting tons of stuff because I got a big package from Lesser Known Comics, and then before that, Sean Tiffany sent me stuff, and then I got this stuff from you. So it's just been crazy opening a bunch of cool stuff. I love it.
Scott, out of curiosity, on that topic of like, stuff like, when you make time to read comics and stuff.
Honestly, usually I don't.
Yeah.
But I made it a point to read Frank's. Plus, they're mini comics, so they don't take too long to read.
Yeah.
And then I do have a little time today that I'm going to read through the books by Lesser Known Comics, just because obviously they're a client of mine. So
yeah, 100%.
I want to make sure I'm familiar with their stuff. Here, I'll show this. Hold on. Here's a sketch Frank did of me.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
Yeah, that was one from 2019, and I found it. Oh, cool. Yeah.
I think I ordered everything on your shop. I don't.
Yeah.
Missed out, and then I think you actually probably sent me some extra stuff that I didn't order. But
Yeah, I sent you stuff that I hadn't had a chance to put up on the shop, and then like I sold out because I didn't have that many copies left because the thief stole my ink, so I hadn't had a chance to make more.
Jeez.
So
Well, the thing is, they stole your ink, but I mean, don't you have to have a specific printer to work on? Maybe they just stole it and didn't even bother to see what it was yet.
yeah, like I think there's there's a package.
That's so weird because I've had things stolen and it was like, okay, what are you gonna do with that? I mean, it's so
Yeah. Like, do they have that? It's like with ink too. You're like, do you have that exact printer? Like, is it like, you're going to go on the street corner and be like, hey, kid, you got to print it? I got some cartridges for you. Like, I don't know.
You got
see a guy opening up a coat with all this ink.
Like, I got you
I got
Epson,
Epson,
I got
I
you
got Canon,
HP.
I got Brother. What do you need?
Peter said he's got a get out of jail free card from Monopoly. That could help us with the bail. And Jim also mentioned that he accidentally jumped off. But he's gonna keep watching, and he's excited about Saturday.
Yeah,
and he said,
I'll
"Long
reach
live
out to
Gary."
Jim. I'll reach out to Jim and everything and try to organize all that stuff so I don't want to wait too much longer on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
So I tried a new technique for my hourly break thing, where I just disappeared because I realized I make a big production when I'm doing it. And I realized I should just do that. So I'm getting over two fears. One is to leave my stream for 30 seconds. And the other is eating. I'm eating, so screw it.
Why not?
Anyhow.
My fear is being shirtless, so I'm gonna conquer that fear now.
That's true. Conquered that fear boldly, Frank. I mean, after all, that's basically what this stream is. It's just coercing people into getting shirtless eventually.
Yes,
This is the
that was your
cartoonist
plan
version
all
of.
along.
Yeah, it's cartoonist gone wild. That's basically where this is gonna head eventually.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the reason I was asking about the time to read is like I have a lot of friends that I really admire that do comics, and I literally have a stack of comics I have to read.
Yeah, I mean,
by
I'm
those
definitely
friends,
in this. I'm in the same boat. I've got tons of stuff, and I went to the comic store and bought stuff. I bought another Avatar graphic novel, which I'll probably never get a chance to read. And I don't know. I just and then sometimes it was for a point where I was trying to read comics before I went to bed, and I just start reading, and I was so tired that I just fall asleep.
Gary was saying Frank being shirtless is my fear too.
Oh, then Gary, you're not gonna want like the envelope I sent you.
Oh no. Yeah, you realize like those things Frank's sending out in the mail, they aren't mini comics. I'm just saying.
That's not the new camera. High def.
High def. Yeah, dude, the Avatar graphic novels. So I have not read any Avatar graphic novels yet, and I heard there's a run that Gene Yang wrote that's like supposed to be really
I don't
good.
know if he wrote the one that I have, but I think definitely the first one that takes place right after the conclusion of the series, where they go looking. Zuko goes looking for his mom. I think that's Gene Yang, and then also the artwork. If anyone's familiar with Guri Huru, it's actually I think it's a couple artists, and they're like a studio.
Oh wow!
I'm a big fan of their art. It's kind of, I mean, it's similar to what you would see in the show. It's kind of American style anime. I'm guessing they're Japanese, but I don't quote me on that. But it's kind of the sweet spot for anime for me. I don't know. I would put it like sort of something like a Sean Galloway or something along those lines. Where it's definitely got a lot of anime influences, but there's some Western stuff in there too. But everything they do is really clean. Everything they design, like from ships to they're just really good with that. And it's usually mostly line art. There's not a lot of spotting blacks or anything. But I don't know. I just I like their style of artwork. So.
Yeah, I love it. I also like the fact that they like color hold a lot of the lines and stuff.
Yeah,
so it's it's such a cool style. That's such a good show too. Honestly,
Most of the animation was done in South Korea.
For Avatar.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of the in betweens and stuff, or like
most of the animations that were like drawn. It's like the pipeline, creating the storyboards in the U.S. and then outsource the animation to South Korea.
Well, dude, that's better than outsourcing it to North Korea, huh?
Well, that's sort of like the thing, because a lot of the there is like a lot of like problems of like that aspect to that. There are some South like studios that outsource work to North Korea to work into it.
Oh my gosh.
There is some documentation on it. There's this book that I got called I'm gonna have to like dig through here. The Anime Boom, the United States, and that had like a breakdown of how the animation were produced and distributed from Japan to the U.S.
Wow.
So there was a section here that discussed a little bit about the whole like outsourcing to North Korea as well and South Korea.
Did you guys did you ever see the Simpsons intro that was made by Banksy? Yeah. We're joined by
Hey,
Peter too. How's it going, Peter?
Call me
Yeah.
out.
Hello.
There you are.
All right, we got Peter. How's it going, buddy?
Going good. Going good.
Nice. So, what's everybody working on? That's what I'm curious about. Scott, what you working on?
I'm working on some client stuff. I'm actually, so I'm doing a lot of these headers. So I've got the company that I'm doing this work for. We create, well, you may have, the company's called Newsy, and it's a news aggregator app. And we create, Corey and I, I created the character. Yeah. And then Corey actually animated the character. But so that little robot guy, we're putting him in different situations. So there's all these different categories. So like right now I'm actually working on graphic design. And the hardest part is trying to figure out, I mean, here it's kind of ironic, but you're a graphic designer trying to figure out how to summarize graphic design in like graphic design,
Yeah.
Like how do you show graphic design at this robot as a graphic designer? So I basically had him with a tablet and because I didn't decided not to go like old school stuff, but so it's basically a tablet and a stylus, which nowadays that could be. I mean, a lot of people use that for a lot of different things. But what I should have done, I probably should have had him just holding up like a Pantone swatch chart or something. But anyway, so that's I'm just working on different headings and headers and little icons and things like that. So
that's cool. That was really neat to see. They had made like a 3D sculpture based on your character. That was really cool.
That was cool. Yeah, I'm hoping. They said maybe they might try to get me one, so that would be cool. I'd like to get one.
Oh wow.
That would be really cool. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's.
And then I was thinking I might, because somebody on their team that did that, and I was thinking if they could do that, they could probably make my little circ worker guy too. I might commission them, see what it would cost to commission them to do that. That would be cool.
It's cool. Well, if you ever need a decent like 3D printable mold, I know a guy. So, like.
Okay, like what do you mean? What?
Not mold. I mean just the STL file or whatever.
To design those, like 3D design? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, to make the 3D model that's 3D printable.
Okay.
I know a guy that's super affordable. I'll talk about off air, but
let me know, because I was wondering, because I know there's that. I don't know a whole lot about 3D printing, but I know there's that. What's that open source thing where you can get all these different models, things, or and I would assume they probably have some generic kind of action figure blanks, I would assume. And then I wonder if you can take one of those and have somebody modify them. Like, 'cause I would love to get like, even if it's just for myself, just figures based on Young and the Dead, my characters as action figures.
Yeah, I've thought about it too for like the young kid Josh. I think would be a cool little figure.
Be fun. Yeah.
I thought about too for Captain Goggles and Masked Woman. So that's what I've been talking with Anna about.
But I know a guy who can build.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, I know a guy who builds them that I use through my work for 3D models.
Okay, yeah, I may contact you with you about that. Of course, then I would probably have to do like some turnarounds, which I don't have, but
yeah, that's the downside. I have the same thing. Also, it's like it still costs money, So.
Oh yeah.
But it is something I've considered. Cool, Frank. What are you working on, bud?
Right now, I'm coloring some more pages. So the mini comics that Scott was talking about, I'm taking the three main ones that have the storyline, and I'm combining it and getting it printed into one comic. And I decided to do it in color. So I'm just finishing up these pages. I'm actually on the third issue. Which that one I decided to make like 18 pages long, so I still got a few pages to go. But hopefully I'll be done by this week.
Nice. That's not too bad. Cool. What about you, Jake? Are you working on what are you working on?
Currently I'm rendering bone meal.
Hell yeah. That's awesome. It's been fun to see. You're posting that on Newgrounds now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Those are good. They're strangely lighthearted for such a like kind of dark subject matter. Like they're pretty lighthearted, fun comic strips. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. The latest ones that I've been uploading have been were sort of like the better ideas that came out from last year.
Nice.
In my eyes, at least. But I had like a period there that I didn't do anything like work wise.
Yeah.
But now I've had like an explosion. Like last week, I've been constantly producing, so I had like 5 pages done as of today, I think.
That's awesome. That's cool. I'm glad you broke through the like kind of the work. I don't know. I've definitely had those days. In fact, I actually had 2 days, you guys, where I didn't do comics.
What?
Unforgivable.
Yeah, tomorrow's going to be the first day. I'm not going to actively work. I don't want to work on
It
Sundays.
happened.
That's a good idea, honestly, to have like a day off, I think.
Well, I'm going to clean as well, like clean the house. So,
Yeah.
That too like interferes with my flow.
What is this thing called cleaning houses? I don't understand it.
So it'll be like
Hygiene.
tomorrow. I'll clean and then I'll sit down and read because I have a lot of comics to catch up on.
You know what just dawned on me, Frank, when you said hygiene? I was just realizing if your name was Gene,
Yeah.
you must hear that joke all the time.
Oh, hygiene.
Are you hygiene?
Well, there's like 3 or 4 different connotations to that one.
Yeah, I was gonna say you gotta ask Gene, Scott. You gotta ask him if he gets that at all. Because I get the like I'm just joshing you.
You know, Josh.
Yeah.
I do get that one all the time, and when I think of hygiene, I always think of Kiss brand toothpaste. Maybe you don't know about this, but Kiss brand toothpaste, when you spit it out, you brush your teeth, you spit it out, but it looks like you're spitting blood, and it's great. And it's only $45 a tube, and you go to kiss.com, you can get that. And it's great. It's part of a whole line. We're working on, the Kiss water pick. They look like Peter Chris's drumsticks. There's a whole line there. And we're working on getting new ones all the time. So definitely go out there and check that out.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've been joined by Gene Simmons of Kiss on my live stream. I don't know if I mentioned that. It's an exclusive to this stream. Yeah.
I like to think that Scott just has multiple personalities and he just like slips in. Well, he's not putting it on an act. Like,
it's just like as he's working on stuff, like he's talking to clients, he's like, I got to consult with Gene on that.
Only me and my other personalities know for sure.
But I think that's man, you do such a good Gene. Kills me. Cool. So let's see. Frank said, Peter, what are you up to? What are you working on?
Retro. Are you
I don't
there?
know if we have Peter there.
The internet went out again. The cat got him.
Oh no, the cat took him out. Well, maybe next time.
Definitely looks frozen.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna pull him off of the thing, but Peter, whenever you get like set up again, just give me a thumbs up or something. You might want to like log off and then log back on. That might help you get back to streaming because we just see a frozen fella, and not like the Disney Frozen. So we were talking about this, like Frank and I on stream.
I heard you guys. I watched that stream. Then I started singing that song to myself.
I was gonna ask that. Like, I think this is a common thing. Like, do you guys like get? Like,
I was playing that song the other day, and I was like, "How can I change this so we can do this live?" And like, I don't know, we should do this live.
So what are your thoughts on like the idea of us all organizing like a live stream where we all do a Disney movie soundtrack? I feel like that would get demonetized real quick.
Really?
Oh
fast.
yeah, probably.
It's not like Disney's known
I
for
think we
being
should have
litigious.
like do it as we're gonna do a topic and then just break in randomly when someone says something and just break into a song, a Disney song that we have prepared.
So like so Scott, you have it too, like the subconscious like Disney songs that are just stuck in your head?
Yeah. I totally exactly what you said with some of the other songs that kind of have some more trickier lyrics to them.
Yeah.
It's like, I always get tripped up on those too. But,
But
I think it was a Part of Your World was the one you were singing, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. I think I could recite that verbatim. I have to. Yeah. I used to listen. Whenever we used to go when I was married and we had, when the kids were young, every year we go to Disneyland, and I would have all the Disney soundtracks, not soundtracks, but like it was like, I don't know, it was like the Disney Volume 1 through 6 or something, and they had all the different songs, and we just listened to those on the way. And then I bought the CD of all the theme park rides, so it's got Pirates of the Caribbean, it's got Haunted Mansion, Splash Mountain, all that, basically all the tracks from the theme park rides.
Okay, so I'm going to pretend that I would want that for my kid, not for me. It's definitely for my kid, right? That sounds amazing. It has the soundtrack to the whole ride. I bet you can probably access that on like Spotify now,
Yeah, I think I don't have Spotify. I've got a different service, but I remember, I haven't looked recently, but I remember for a while Disney must have been weird about putting stuff on there because I couldn't find a lot of that on there.
That's cool.
But
though.
that could have changed. That was a while back, so that could have changed.
Wow, that's cool. So it would have like the like elevator sequence in like the Haunted Mansion.
Yep.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yep.
To find a way out.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I'm a bit of a nerd. Like I like Disneyland and Disney and stuff. Yeah, I got no problem with that. Yeah. I don't think I'd want to work for them. I mean, like in-house. Like I think I would lose my mind. But I think they're awesome. Like, I don't know, Scott, did I tell you like my experience? Like I went to Disneyland with some Imagineer friends of mine. And the whole time we're walking around, they're like talking about it like you and I would talk about like a bad work day or something. Like if somebody's like, oh, that's cool, you worked in games. And you're like, yeah, but like this game was really cool before it came out. And then they changed these things. And like they were doing that with Disneyland. And it dawned on me, I was like, I'm really thankful I'm not like, it must be really cool to work in Imagineering, but it also dawned on me, like, I kind of don't want like some of the magic of it gone because it's fun. Like I enjoy the illusion. I don't know if I want to step behind the curtain, on that one.
Yeah, I could see that. I wouldn't want that either.
But it was interesting because it dawned on me. I was like, oh, that makes perfect sense, where I'd be like, oh, that's cool. You made that billboard? And they're like, yeah, but like it was so much cooler before, like it's just an interesting, I don't know. It's funny. It also makes me feel better about like sort of, a lot of the things that bug us as artists, like the consumer isn't really going to flip out about, I don't know.
This is coming out like a little bit left field, but does the IRS have merchandise?
Does the IRS have merchandise?
Like the indie review show?
Oh,
no, not. Fuck, I forgot. Oh no, I forgot. I'm mixing up the shows. No, the revenue.
The Internal Revenue Service. Yeah. Do they have merch?
Yeah, like FBI, who's got like hats and like those hats.
That would make sense. Yeah, like my brother was a cop for a while, and he's retired now, but he was LAPD, and they actually had like LAPD merch.
Yeah, I don't think people like the IRS the same way they like the FBI or
I'm wondering if people are just like, yeah, I want some. I could imagine maybe stationery. Because I'm like, who's interested in the IRS? Like maybe accountants?
Well,
like, oh man, the IRS is amazing.
At this moment, I am, because I'm drawing somebody from the revenue service.
Oh, okay. Oh, are you saying like, do they have like uniforms or like, do they sell like tchotchkes?
Yeah, probably.
Do they sell keychains?
Because I think they do have uniforms. I think you'd have to look it up. I don't think I want to find out in my lifetime in person if they have uniforms. Because basically our experience of the IRS is like, you don't really meet IRS agents unless you're being audited, and then you're not going to be in a really good mood. But I think I don't know. Scott,
and if you do, they never admit that they work for the IRS.
Yeah, and do they have like a uniform, or is it just like a plain clothes?
I would assume it's just a plain clothes every day.
Like suits or something.
They probably have they might have like some kind of a credential like badge or something on their like pocket or something. I don't know.
See, now this is making me want to like come up with like a whole thing. Like, wouldn't it be funny if like you had a comic that had IRS agents, but they have like the IRS has like some sort of like, what is it when you're like in sports when there's like an animal or whatever, like a guy in an animal costume? Mascot? Yeah, so there's like a mascot for the IRS.
I can see somebody trying to do a campaign like the IRS. Well, we need some better PR because people just don't like us. What if we get a funny animal?
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, I think that would be a great bit.
And the element of choice would definitely be a pig or a fat cat.
A fat cat, yeah.
Yeah.
No, because I'm illustrating like this skeleton with an IRS or like cap on his head.
Nice. Well, that skeleton just got a nice hefty check from me this year.
In an effort to because I'm going through basically trying to purge my house of so much stuff that I don't need, and I went through my file. I had taxes going back to like 20 years, so finally I got everything. I think from what I understand is you only have to keep like 7 years, so I got rid of everything before that.
Yeah,
and it was just so much stuff that I had to shred.
Yeah, because you want to keep like receipts and stuff too for like any purchases that are like art related purchases.
Yeah, no, I've kept those. I used to first send them to my CPA, and he's like, I don't want these. You hold on to them.
Yeah.
Like, okay, just yeah.
Yeah, because the CPA, they just need the total and to know that you have the receipts. Because if you don't have the receipts to back it, you're screwed, you know. Yeah. But it's like, but yeah, they don't need to see the actual receipts. But you want to keep those receipts because, again, you have the fat cat mascot stop by your place and need to see some stuff. You need receipts. But I think you're right, Scott. I think it's only 7 years. Yeah. I don't think it goes beyond that. Yeah, dude. I will say I don't mind, like, you know, I'm a bleeding heart leftist, so I don't mind paying my taxes, you know. It's just more of like, I wish it wasn't such a headache to like figure out. Like, I wish it were, I wish I could just more easily know what I owe or what, like, you know what I mean? Like, I would just wish that was an easier process. That's all.
Yeah.
Because it becomes so complicated. And I'm just like, I just want to know what to do here. That's all. I want to do the right thing. I don't mind kind of paying a little bit for roads and schools and bridges and stuff. That's cool, you know. But
yeah, I mean, the thing that bothers me the most is,
isn't it neat?
What was that, Frank?
As I look at these taxes, isn't it neat? Doesn't it make your paperwork complete? Don't you think I'm a guy?
It is like my least favorite time of year. And I mean, I know that's not like, this is, you guys, this is my hot take for the day. Doing taxes is a real nightmare. Like, it's a hot take. I know everybody loves doing them, but that's my hot take, guys.
Yeah, and again, I've talked about this before, and you have too, Josh. But it's the fact that sure you can pay a CPA or an accountant to do your taxes for you, but you still have to spend 2 days. I mean, if you have your own business anyway, you still have to spend like 2 days to put it all together just to give it to them.
My wife and I, it literally took 2 days, like not exaggerating. Two whole, like we lost a weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And both of you guys are you've got some stuff on the side, and then Mai does as well. So I mean,
it gets complicated when you have like royalties and freelance, and then day job stuff, and then it gets really wacky and complicated. So I recommend people though get a good CPA because you don't want to mess up on your taxes.
Yeah, and anything you pay for CPA, they'll probably save you,
Honestly, you can get a pretty decent CPA for like pretty much what you pay to just file online anyway. So it's like, it's more of like, do you want somebody to look through it and make sure you're not screwing up? Because that's the key thing, right? Like, because there was 1 year, this is a long time ago, where I forget, it was like either my wife or me like filed wrong. It was just like one accidental like number off, like in a calculation, and we ended up like owing like this, having this like surprise amount that we owed like hit us like much later. Ever since then, I think that's when we got a tax guy where it was like, we just can't do this on our own without like I'm not good enough at like math and accounting. And the thing I like about my CPA is he'll call us on something too. If like, he'll be like, you can't write that off. And I'm like, oh, I thought I could. And he's like, nope.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. You need that. You need an honest accountant, They stopped
letting you write off, like, was it not client meal? It's like, there's a certain part of the meal thing that they stopped letting you write off, whereas before you could.
Yeah, there used to be a lot of things. Yeah. I don't want to get political, but I will say Donald Trump screwed up a lot of write-offs for people making under $400,000. Your write-offs are pretty slim. Sometimes you're better just taking a flat hit, Sorry, guys. I know. I feel like it went like radio silent when we started talking taxes.
I was about to break the silence.
This is all super fun stuff for people, I'm sure. Taxes.
Yeah, exactly. You guys, hot take here. Talking about taxes is not generally enjoyable for people. This is my hot take.
I should have posted this during tax season, then. Damn it.
No, you're still good, man. Everything's due in April, so you're like, especially if you're trying to get like US and taxes, like that's you're right in the peak of tax season for us.
I'm gonna have to look up the deadline is 1st of April, or is it like out through April?
15th.
I think it's April 15th.
And there may be, I don't know if they're still doing extensions because of the pandemic or anything. They were for a while, but
yeah, if you get it out in March, that's like really good timing for a joke, like on taxes. Yeah.
I mean,
so the skeleton, are you doing like a death and taxes thing there then?
No, I have another one. Like later at the pipeline. Okay, so it was scheduled to be released late in April, but I think I could bump it up.
Yeah, you should bump it to like beginning of April, because that's when everybody's like, especially people who haven't filed yet, are going to be like freaking out. So.
Okay, so April 1st then. All right. Yeah, I can make that a thing happen. It's not like I've fudged the schedules for strips anyway. So.
Yeah. For April 1st though, shouldn't you do like a gag strip?
Oh, I already have a gag lined up. Okay. Don't worry about that.
Nice.
It came to me like after like watching a lot of bullshit that have been going on in the gaming industry. So I figured like I want to like take pot shots at that.
Nice.
And in comics, it's a very specific type of like gag.
Nice.
So stay
Oh,
tuned.
Peter explained that he was trying to join the conversation, but he kept getting booted out. So sorry, Peter. Whenever your connection gets settled, now I'm curious. I think that makes me curious because I'm not as familiar with gaming. So I'm like, I wonder if I would even know the gag. Let's see.
Let's just say that it's a very PR move. As of
Okay.
late.
Okay. Nice. All right. I'm trying not to make big productions when I disappear for 2 seconds, but I'll be right back, you guys. I'm just gonna.
Yeah, same. I need a cup of coffee.
Right.
That's kind of my reasoning too. So, all right, I'll be back with coffee, guys.
All right.
See, I told you this wasn't a good idea.
That's because I saw you posted the video today on Patreon.
Oh yeah.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen it. I was about to watch it, and I saw Josh was
You're
on.
on my Patreon, you get to see my videos early. And I've got another one that I'll probably put out maybe Monday or something on Patreon where I start talking about what I'm going to do with the new studio I'm putting together.
Oh, cool.
So that'll be coming out.
Maybe if you leave them alone, they'll fly away. Well, if you keep spawning them in villagers, of course they're going to kill them. Okay.
Yeah, I was talking at the beginning of the show. Yesterday I was filming pretty much all day. I was filming videos because I had to get one ready for the week I'm out and everything. So.
Next one.
Oh, I was gonna throw this out too. If you guys are watching live, anything I have been forgetting to mention this, and I might as well because every once in a while I get these things. So if you guys ever while watching this want to get a question answered for sure, or something read aloud for sure, as long as it's not disparaging of other people or communities. I do take super chats, so there is that. You can super chat. It's a nice way to support the channel and show and stuff like that. Just throwing that out there. So I'm pretty stoked on how this is coming out. How are you guys? How are you guys progressing on your projects?
I'm doing good. I might have to bail another 10 or 15 minutes. I'm gonna eat lunch and then I'm heading over to my girlfriend. So
nice. That's pretty cool. Is she writing anything right now?
No, hasn't worked on her novel a little bit, which is killing her. But she got a new job and she's going to school full time, and it's a lot. So
that's a ton. I didn't. Yeah, I mean, adjusting to a new job and then also doing school on top of that. That's hard to balance with writing a novel, I don't know if I could hang with that unless what I was doing for school was the novel,
Right.
That would be the only way to possibly get there. What about you, Frank? You making okay progress? You said a couple days, right? Or something you're thinking for.
Yeah, I think I'm on. Yeah, I'm making good progress. I got most of this page. Good. I don't do that big of backgrounds, but when I do, that's what takes me a while. But these one haven't been too bad. So I think this is page 12, and it's 27 in total. So I still got a few more. But so yeah.
Nice.
I mean,
so
I'm the one making the deadline, but I want it out a certain time in April. So.
Oh, okay, nice. Like the 15th.
Yes, I want it just in time for tax.
Well, it's interesting because it's tax day is a good day for some people. It's well, I think when you're getting a return, it's not super bad. It's kind of nice. It's an extra check or whatever.
Usually, if you're getting a return, you probably do your taxes early because you want that money. So when tax day comes around, it's already out of mind.
Yeah. I've been trying to do it earlier every year because you know, and Scott, maybe that's like your experience too, but it's like my wife and I just got tired of like these like tense times in April where we're just like, what do we owe? Like, what is it? Like,
Yeah, last couple of years I've done it early, and then if I do get anything back, I just put it back in because you know you got to pay quarterly taxes anyway, so I just get a head start on that.
see, that's the difference between you and me, Scott. Is we never do our quarterlies.
Yeah, sometimes it depends on you know how much I'm making and all that stuff too. You know.
Yeah.
Because you know if you do this stuff, you know if you do this stuff for a living, sometimes it's feast or famine sometimes. So.
Yeah, but I think like quarterly is a good way to go because like then you know you're either gonna get recompensated for like the difference of the year or like you just get that cut out of like what you owe, which is great. If we were smart, we would do that. I just always, I don't know, I've never been able to remember to do that. And then we end up, and it sucks because it costs too to not do it because you have to pay like a penalty fee, you know, like which we always. The problem
is knowing how much to pay because you never know from you know year to year what your next year is going to be. You know, it just fluctuates so much.
Oh, totally. Yeah, it's interesting, man. I feel like that would be a really cool episode. Like, we should try to get like a CPA on, you know, just to like give advice or something. What do you think?
Maybe we'll see if people would be interested in that. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd be curious. Like, I don't know. Would any? Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, would any? Because I feel like freelancers get really. At least when I was younger, I was always curious about that stuff.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give? Because I just talked to like seniors, like it's literally like actually it was yesterday, so it's like for like a good hour or whatever. I always feel weird after those talks where it's like I felt like, did I just ramble or was this helpful for them? You know, like.
Yeah, sometimes because I talk about this stuff on YouTube all the time, and it's just because of it, I think it's like second nature. Am I telling people stuff they already know?
Yeah.
Or because it's like I've known this stuff for so long, it's just like to me, it's sort of like this is basic stuff, but you know, it isn't to everyone. You know.
Yeah, but it's hard to know. Like, for me, it's hard to balance where it's like I don't want to talk down to people, like right, like
exactly,
yeah. I mean, if they already know, it's like but quite often I'll find myself like talking to people and they'll be like, "Oh, you got to back up because I don't know what that thing is," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, we're like we got to start like really, really early on this," you know. It's a weird thing.
How much of that information is supposed to be like delivered like very snappy or how much like in detail do you want to go with it, you know?
Yeah, it's a little hard to navigate, honestly. Yeah. Because I also have this tendency to ramble anyway and just go off on like a long train of tangents, you know. So, but like when you're asked to give just kind of like a general career overview and then like tips on getting started, it's like it's hard to condense that down. I think Scott, you do a good job on that. Like one of the things I like about your comics course is the fact that you take topics, digest them down into like smaller length videos, but they're incredibly in depth. So it's like,
and I still get comments. I still get comments like, "Get to the point." I mean, it's like people go there for one maybe one particular reason. Everything else is relevant, but they don't want to hear it. And it's like, so I just I always have my standard comment where I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm more than willing to offer your money back," and then I'm like, "Oh wait." I mean, because you're doing this stuff for free, and people are complaining about it. I mean, give me a break. It's a pet peeve of mine. That's just like,
no, that's true. I've actually like okay.
I would have died to have all this information when I was coming up. You know,
dude, yeah.
Anything I want at my fingertip. And I watch a video, and sometimes it's not what I want or what I expected, or if it goes on too long. But I never leave a comment like, this sucks. It wasn't what I was looking for. It didn't fit my particular needs, because I'm expecting everyone to cater to exactly what I'm looking for at this particular time. And this wasn't it, it's just like,
But isn't that part of like difference of courtesy? Like, I think most creators who are doing like what you do, Scott, you have more stake in it, and you've been involved with it for such a long time that it becomes sort of like bad from their part by like saying things like that nonchalantly, but at the same time they don't probably put themselves into like your position.
yeah. Because you spend all this time making this video where they're just spending the time watching it, so
like,
maybe it doesn't.
You spend I don't know how many hours rendering the video, but you have like shooting and editing on top of that. At the same time, you have like, I don't know, decades of experience that you like back up and try to distill down to like these key elements and all that stuff. That's a lot of time, like even tracing back to I don't know where when, but then again, it's a lot of man hours for a thing that is essentially free. And like that initial reaction, I think it's just lack of courtesy, or at least appreciation, even if it didn't help you out the way that you wanted to.
Yeah, like there, like an analogy I can think of is like when I've been in bands in my life, like where you play like small shows and stuff. And there's like this unspoken rule among bands that like if you play with bands, like you generally try to like be there for the other bands like in the lineup set.
Yeah.
And then the last thing you ever do is like you never like boo a band that's like opening or is like mid-set in a lineup that you're in or after, right? It's just like bad form, like but what's funny is when you see a show, like people who don't play music will be the first to be like boo if they don't like music that's playing,
Mm-hmm.
I think for people who play music and know what it takes to like write a song and then like the guts it takes to like get on a stage and like perform, it's like you're way less likely to be like, boo, this sucks, like although, if you're like razzing a band that's opening for you that's friends with you, you might happen to say like play Freebird, just because it's funny. But yeah, anyhow, so there's that.
Yeah, in all fairness, I at least with me, I don't know if this is the case with everyone, but I think it comes down to the kind of content you put out. If you put out more positive content, but I get a lot more praise. I mean, but you focus in on that negative stuff, unfortunately, more than the praise and stuff that you get. So
yeah, no, that's true. I mean, like it is amazing how much like you could have like 12 people look at your art and just be like, this is amazing, and one person who's like, this looks weird or something, and like that one person's the thing that'll stick with you.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting in like human nature. I don't know. I found that for myself, where it's a lot easier to disregard a compliment than it is to like take an insult like to be truth.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting.
I don't know. For me, it's just whenever I do like anything that is of reaction worthy, I tend to like check up on it to see if it's natural or not. Because with criticism, I just don't give a shit. I'm more interested in seeing like real emotion, in response, really. And they can like have their opinions and all that stuff, but if it doesn't like cross over as being constructive or at least being like informal to like enhance my understanding of what happened like as a problem, and to, like help me improve, I dismiss it.
Yeah, I think that's actually not a bad bar where it's just like, hey, it's if it's like somebody saying, hey, Scott, like your video, by the way, I'm making this up because Scott's videos are always shot well, but it's like, let's say he was posting a lot of YouTube videos where like the video is always shaky, and somebody just said, hey, like the shakiness of this kind of distracts me a little bit or something.
Yeah.
It's like that actually that's a negative comment, but it's not bad. Like that could help him improve, right?
Yeah, and I've got comments like that with the audio, and I'm trying to improve that. Like I got a new mic and everything, but it's still audio is something that I have trouble with, and that's one of the reasons why when I move in that new studio, hopefully it'll be better because the acoustics will be better in there. There's carpet in there, and
Yeah.
and it'll all be everything will be recorded in the same place because I stopped because I used to I would record stuff in the regular studio, which is to break kayfabe, just a little walk-in closet, and then I take it up here to where I am now, which has got hard floors and everything like that, and then I would record if I was doing a voiceover, I recorded up here, and the sound would be way off. So I'm hoping recording everything in the same room, because now it got to the point where I'll just sit there in front of the camera and I'll try to record my voiceover, down in this little studio, just so it matches up, and it's just it's not really designed for all that. So.
Yeah, it's hard to, the other thing is sometimes it's just what you can do. For me, it's I can't do highly produced videos. I have time to do these streams and hang out, So if somebody was like, hey, your streams are kind of not getting the best audio or whatever, I'd be like, I don't know. I just kind of set up a camera and do
But isn't that also the level of accessibility? Because when I was really deep into, internet politics way back in 2013 and 2014, there were a lot of people who had just a basic setup of just recording their articulation just by pointing a camera towards them. It didn't matter of quality. But what they said was more in presence and a bit more of importance rather than judging by the quality of the way that it was communicated, or at least spoken of. The thing is that for this type of work, you will have to probably visualize a lot more to get the examples across.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of what sort of demographic are you looking for? I think in Scott's case, that will be a younger audience, or at least beginners that will need that visualization.
Oh yeah.
As for if I were to do content, I would probably not do that as much and try to talk through and course through it very rigorously and very very centered around talking rather than to demonstrate it.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, and your demographic's going to matter, It's interesting though, the audio thing and the video thing. It's both can be a can of worms, because it's man, even in music and stuff, there's so much debate about what the best mics are, what the best compression settings are. And it's for me, I don't even get into that kind of thing with live streams. I just have a I have a better condenser mic, but it doesn't reach over here where I draw. So I'm well, I need to, first and foremost, I need to get some art done. That's my goal. So, and then if I can manage to generate content and hang out with people and hopefully entertain some people along the way, that's cool. Peter said he was getting called away, so he's taking off. Thank you, Peter, for trying to stop in. At some point, we got to get that internet connection working. At some point,
That's got to be his next birthday gift, I swear.
The interwebs. It's just have you ever seen the IT Crowd?
Yeah, I've seen it. Well, I think they've seen a couple episodes.
So there's one where they're given the internet with a switch. They give it as a gift to somebody, and it has a red button to turn off the internet. It looks just like a guitar pedal. But anyhow, so that's what you give Peter, is just the internet in a box.
That would be a little bit tough considering he's got a lot of cats in his home. So they will probably just step on the pedal like a drummer.
That's so true. Yeah, that way the connection. Maybe that's what's going on with that connection, is all the cats.
Yeah, I've been constantly joking about it. They're eating his cable or eating his fiber.
Yeah.
And every time that he manages to successfully stream or something, he always picks up. So it's like a constant battle of like, you know, that classic example of like the cat jumping on the table to eat of your meal.
Yeah.
That's sort of like a fear that you like, try to shoo him off the food, but instead it's just like shoo him off the router.
I like that. Okay, this is a weird off-topic thing. Have you guys ever tried the trick like when you're pressing the button to unlock your car from like a long distance?
To unlock your house?
No, you know, just the car keys.
No, I know. I was trying to.
Where you
figure out
hold
where
it
you're
next
going.
to your head. Have you guys ever done that?
Hold it next to your head?
Yeah.
I don't think so. To do
Okay, this is the weirdest thing. Next time you're like grocery shopping or something like that, right? Get far enough away from your car to where like you're pressing the little boop boop button and it like doesn't communicate with your car, right?
Right.
But like just a little bit further away, and then hold it next to your head and go like that, and your car will be like boop boop, like. And if you hold it away from your head, it'll just be like normal. Hold it next to your head, boop boop.
Oh, you mean because you're holding it higher? Is that what you're saying?
No,
Oh.
it literally has to be next to your head.
Why?
I have no idea. I learned that.
Yeah, I don't know
trick a long
because
time ago.
my little fob thing, it doesn't even make a noise. I can barely hear it. I just have to hope that it does something. Like if I'm close enough, I can see the lights kind of do something real quick. But otherwise, I hardly even hear it.
I'm just saying it's a good trick, especially if you're ever in a parking lot where you like lost your car or something. You just do that, and it'll extend the projection of it.
If
and
I'm
I thought it
close
was
enough to
BS.
the car, if I'm close enough to the car, I can hear the locks, actually the physical locks in the car go.
Yeah.
But I can't. If I'm far enough away, I can't. It doesn't make any kind of noise or anything.
Oh,
I don't know. It
that's
must
tough.
be broken or something. I don't know.
I was going to ask, what's a car? I don't.
What's a car? Where do you live, Jake?
In the middle of bumfuck nowhere, Norway.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you lived like in a major, like a major city or something.
No, I live out in the sticks. So I rely upon a chauffeur to drive me to get my groceries every Friday.
Well, because I mean, if you live in a big city, you probably don't need a car too. But if you live out in the middle of nowhere, unless you're just there forever.
I did live in the city, and I had like everything at walking distance. But after moving back into the old home, it feels weird having that liberty of just like walking literally just a few hundred meters. I'm sorry, a few yards down to the shop, getting my fix.
Doesn't it suck that you have to cater to us in the U.S. where I mean, we're the only ones that don't use the metric system, but we don't bother to learn it. We're just like,
that was on me. That was
no. I mean, we should be on the metric system. Everyone.
I was just joking with you. Well, in the summer it's gonna open up, so then I'll be probably taking a boat out, but the with the gallon being up like $4 almost, or $5, I would foresee like the summer is not going to be a very ideal time to drive around with the boat.
Right. Yeah.
It's funny to me.
That,
it's funny to me
part of
anyone's interpretation of expensive gas. When I hear what sounds expensive to them, I'm like, It's so bad in California.
And when I head out to California, I'm just like,
oh yeah.
The good thing is my car, I can get to California and back on a tank of gas in my car.
That's badass.
So I'm gonna.
What kind of car are you driving?
It's a Nissan Altima.
Oh, Nissans are great, man. Like we have a Sentra, and it's been like just running like a trooper. Yeah, those things you can put like hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, when we take my girlfriend's car, she has I think a Highlander. That thing we got to fill up like 2 times. It's a lot nicer car, and it's got all the crazy features like it'll brake for you and do all that kind of stuff.
Nice.
And it's it'll let you know if there's a car, if you're about to switch lanes and there's a car there, all that stuff. But man, it's expensive to take that car.
Does the car look like Sean Connery, or is it just?
There can be only one, but actually, there's many of them on the road. So. Oh, okay, yeah. I'm not looking forward to those guys, but I'll probably as soon as I get to the border of Arizona, I'll fill up again and see if if I can take it there
You'll
and
be
then
okay,
get back
like-
to that point.
Yeah, you want to do all your fill-ups like before you get into the LA area. 'Cause
Oh
the
yeah, I
second
would always
you're
fill
in
my
LA
car up
County-
before I leave. But yeah,
So just like before you enter LA County, just make sure if you need to fill up, even if it's like a quarter, just get it outside.
Oh, you mean
of
in
LA
California, but
Yeah.
not LA?
I mean, California will be more expensive, but I'm just saying, like, LA County is going to be probably the worst gas prices you'll hit, like that entire journey.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
Because, like, the closer you get to LA, it'll go from like 5 something to like 6 something to like potentially $7 or $8.
Right. Wow.
Like,
yeah.
So yeah.
All right, I got to take off, guys. But it was great hanging out with you.
Thanks for hanging. Thanks for hanging out
problem.
with me. It got me through about a panel
Awesome.
almost. I'm going to basically disappear for like 2 seconds. I usually don't announce it, but Scott, before you go, let everybody know where they can find your stuff.
Yeah, you can find my content on YouTube at just search Circworks on YouTube. Check out Making Comics 101, everything you want to know about making comics. It's all free. It's all on YouTube. And then I got other content that I put out there usually on a weekly basis. So check that out.
Nice. And pick up Young and the Dead while you're at it too. You know.
Yeah, that's on my website at circworks.com. So check that out.
All right.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
Take it easy. Later.
Treat yourself.
Oh, I almost hit in broadcast. I was thinking of the show because okay, so I just leave studio. Okay, is that me? Leave studio. How do I get it? I'm just gonna click out the broad. All right, later.
Bye.
Just end the show.
All right. Yeah, that would be hilarious. It's like, bye guys, click, the whole thing shuts down. All right. So you guys, I usually I'm trying not to announce this too much when I'm about to disappear for a second, but it's a good opportunity for you guys to let everybody know if they're watching right now or anybody's joining in early, like later in the stream, where they can find your stuff and all that. So why don't we start with you, Frank, and then Jake, and I'll be right back. Okay.
All right, no problem. You can find my stuff on Salazar Art Nation on YouTube, and just go to the description, and there's links to everything in there. I did post a link tree in the chats earlier, but if it's not there, you can just go to my channel, and I have all the stuff there. Jake, your turn.
Yeah. Due to daylight savings time, the schedule for Ball Meal, the free existential Kinder Egg comic strip, is being pushed into Fridays at 4 p.m. rather than 3 p.m. CT. I think it's EDT now in the daylight. So if you want to have like a quick fix of just random skeletal humor, dark comedy, if it's sort of like Afterlife that you're looking for in the vastness of the dead sea of internet noise, it'll probably cheer up your day. Go to newgrounds.com, look up J Twister, that's a V, not a W, and you'll probably find some bone meal right there for you for free.
Love it. Cool. It's been a pretty lively morning. I'm usually dead in the morning, so I'm kind of glad, because I was a little concerned, because if it's just me on the stream, I'm literally going to be pretty boring in the morning.
Are
I am
you
like,
grateful dead?
Yeah, that's true. I guess I could be. So I'm drawing a panel. That's a very serious sequence in my comic, but my dad did look a little bit like Jerry Garcia, so it's kind of funny that we're talking about the Grateful Dead, and I'm drawing a dude who looks like Jerry Garcia. How are you guys holding up on the production? You said you had a slump, right, Jake? Have you broken the slump? It feels like you've been posting a crap load of bone meal recently.
A lot of the bone meal that you saw or have seen, they were done probably throughout beginning of February.
Okay.
And I have to look up the dates here for some of them. I think I did at least 4 of the pages early February, and then I just stopped. because I had like a lot of foresight into creating the things that I wanted to create. Like ahead of me. So I had like weeks ahead before posting those specific ones while working on the ones that were coming, like literally coming up like the week or the 2 weeks before. And I had I found out that I had like a schedule error. So I didn't list one specific date. So I had like crunch in like a double upload. And then after I did a double upload, I was deep in the red. So I had like probably 2 or 3 strips left before I were running out of like the back burner or the backlog. No, buffer. Sorry. So I had 5 yesterday, and now I just posted a new one. So now I'm back down to 4. My ideal number is 7. I want to have like 7 strips ready to like post and just maintain that number.
Yeah, because
I take it as being like in the red when I'm at least 4 or 5.
that makes sense. Okay, so it's like you were kind of burning through your buffer, basically. Like you were like, okay, like I gotta rebuild some distance between like deadline and.
Because I took like the whole of like last week out on to just like do nothing. I just watched anime, which
that
was
sounds like a nice little week, though. I don't know.
No, I was basically shaming myself for not working throughout of it. Although that I did like, I watched one of my favorite animes so far for a good chunk of it, so I didn't feel that bad. I've been like going back to a lot of old series that have been like released, not like the latest stuff, which has been a ride. So I definitely appreciate that. But work-wise, I just like not did anything, and it was getting to me. Like being there at the end of the day, having like promised that I had that I was supposed to like work, and didn't do it. Yeah, not a great feel.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing. Like I feel like in art, you can be kind of your own worst enemy, but it's also weird because like so. I took St. Patrick's Day off, and I felt like that was pretty justified because I was like, look, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to like pick up like some beer from a local brewery, and then I'm going to have a beer and just relax and like not a bunch of beer or do like a young man St. Patrick's Day kind of thing. It's just like, no, I'm just going to have like a good Irish red and like call it a night, you know? And then I felt guilt the entire time. And then, like last night I was just like totally exhausted. So I just went to bed instead of like, so I went to work, but I just like, and I worked on art at my day job, but it's like, I just didn't do the extra amount. But it is funny how it's like, I'll feel guilt just for like a day, you know, I feel guilty if I'm not. I guess that's a good thing, you know. I think I should probably. I guess it would be concerning if you didn't. I don't know.
I think,
but I do feel like you need to have days off.
Responsibility.
What's up?
It speaks to responsibility that you've instilled in yourself. Like you're the way that you're like actively like criticizing yourself or want to like pull down your enjoyment.
Yeah.
Is like you've built up a priority in your life to try to fulfill that before you're taking off and doing whatever that you want to do, like off time.
Yeah, it makes me wonder though, because I am a big advocate for people like making stuff and like producing stuff, but I do wonder sometimes, like, you know, those guys, like I have a lot of neighbors who like they just do their job and then they like save up money and they'll buy a boat or something, or like, you know, they'll do their job and just kind of do whatever, and like, you know, everything they're doing is just so they can vacation or something. And it's like, I do sometimes wonder, like, I don't think I could live that way. Like, it's not part of who I am. And I used to be really judgmental of it. But sometimes I wonder if those people are, like, probably happier. I don't know.
I think I think honesty in that sense, because it's like looked at from a very specific like lens. Like
Yeah.
I do that too from time to time. Like I am very jealous of people or envy of people who have that stability of routine instilled into them because of like factors that I have not had in my life. Like like throughout like upbringing in one particular area, or at least a few places, and like gone to that one school, or never had like to have like the whole like problem of changing schools every like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And probably not a broken family. There is like a nuclear family design to it. All of these like things, they have like a impact into your dedication and your sense of like nurture. And at the same time, I shouldn't be like envious of them, because
Yeah.
they were just fortunate enough to have that, and I'm just going to like have to deal with it my way. And I'm looking at it more maturely right now. This was like before. Now it's more like a. I appreciate that there are those stable people that could work without complaining about a lot of things, because all of my complaints have been basically just around schedule or routine, so to say.
Yeah.
So there is an appreciation there for those that can do that and can like lead on society, where I just like dick around and try to like answer for my misgivings and stuff and shortcomings through trying to work out like the bigger things, or try to.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's weird because it's like I personally, it's like I maintain a schedule and a career and stuff like that, but it's like I just can't see myself as being a person who's just like content to like just do a day job and then go home and like watch TV. Like that to me, like I've tried that in the past, and it's just like I would lose my mind. Like I would literally just be super depressed. It's just not how I'm designed.
I look at my my dad, because he's been fortunate enough to have like that routine, and he can't really like get through with why I'm like this, why I want to like do what I want to do. And I usually try to rationalize it and say that it's because of the circumstances that I was brought into or brought up to, that have led all these things up, like laid up like a domino. And I've had to like be cognizant about it rather than like trying to dismiss it. And, while he's like, you hear like there's a very strong word, I think, but with a lot of people like my dad, like sleepwalking life.
That's actually, I think that's a really apt use of words there to describe, I think, what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so like when there's a lot of like sleepwalkers, it's very hard to like communicate, or at least try to express what your intentions and your words like mean to you. For them, they might be like, oh, it's so foreign and a bit scary at times, but then again, it's just a matter of like difference of your influences and your memes and upbringing, etc.
I remember I was talking to a guy I know who grew up in like a really rough area of like Compton, and had like a pretty tough, like super tough childhood. And he was talking about how the last few years globally have been fascinating to him, because like all these well-to-do people in the US in particular that he meets are like suddenly freaked out about like, I don't know if like we'll live or die tomorrow. Like, what if there's like this? What if this? And like and COVID and kind of being afraid of that. And like, he was like, it's not that it's invalid. He's just like, it's just kind of weird. Cause he's like, that's been my whole life. Like, that's my experience.
Yeah,
You know,
like a Tuesday.
he was saying that's like been his experience from like birth on, like where it's like he grew up in an area where he's like, I don't know if I can walk down the street without getting shot. Like, you know, like it's like, so it's like for him, like that's been that anxiety is just something he's lived with like his whole life. And I was like, I grew up pretty poor, but definitely not in those circumstances. And so it was like, you know, I can kind of relate because I definitely have had times where like really wealthy people I know, like who've had it fairly easy for a good chunk of their lives, like freak out about like, you know, monetary instability. And you're just kind of like, yeah, welcome to the club, dude. You know, like, but I hadn't really thought about it like in a just like personal safety kind of thing where it's like, you know, when you're living in like, you know, anyhow. So yeah, definitely circumstances dictate a lot of that stuff for people, you know. But I just thought that was a fascinating observation where he was just like, yeah, it's interesting to see the rest of the world sort of experience what I experienced growing up. And I was like, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense, you know.
It's not that I've been living in destitute. I've had.
I didn't take. Sorry, I was just tacking onto it. I didn't take that.
It was not like implied. I'm just saying that as a little disclosure there that I have lived in utter poverty because, as like Dave Chappelle says, it's in the mind. Poverty is in the mind. The reason is that. What I'm saying is that you could find ways to like live with your situation, but it's sort of like an adaptation. Yeah, and a lot of people aren't like well integrated into adapting to their circumstance. A lot of like life quality or the things that they have built in for themselves, like their life, and then they see that like crumble between their like fingers.
Yeah.
It's understandable that these things happen and have an effect on you. But at the end of the day, what can you do about it?
Yeah.
And that is sort of like the weirdos and all that jazz club are really adept to do, like adapt.
Yeah.
They take that attitude with them and try not to have that much of a pondering effect on what life is right now, and it's going to be like a downwards trajectory. But it's like the world has been falling ever so slightly since, like, you never know. I think that the world is ending and all that stuff. The things that are been going around, like, oh, the war in Ukraine is going to lead to World War III. Yeah. Who hasn't heard about this whole World War III spiel all over, like for the last 50 decades?
No, that's true. And I mean, it is a tense situation, but it's like that. I think that question of, oh my gosh, a good friend of mine, this guy named Mike Getzev, who you guys should all be following. He's like an abstract cartoonist. Mm-hmm. He's in like the Fantagraphics, like abstract comics anthology, and he's done like a lot of really brilliant stuff. But he was a friend of mine in Portland. And he was always telling me like about this therapist that he knew who like his entire practice of therapy was just asking people 2 questions. And the questions were, what do you want? And what are you going to do to get it?
Yeah.
Those were the 2 questions. So like people would come in freaked out. They'd be like, I don't know, like I'm freaked out about this. And he'd be like, huh, is that what you want? And they're like, well, no. Okay, well, what do you want? Well, I want like more money. Okay, what are you going to do to get it? Like, you know, anyhow, it was interesting to me. And ever since he brought that up, I try to kind of bring that, like, not that that's a solution to everything, but that's a pretty healthy way to look at things where it's like, you know, and try to kind of remember the power that you have in this situation, you know? And I think artists are well adapted to that because if you stay in art long enough, you're going to experience, like, I think a lot of people live in safety or the illusion of safety. And so it's like a lot of people aren't used to, like, when the rules break down or when there are no rules. Whereas like for artists, we're pretty used to like just the process of taking a blank page and making it something. It's like we're used to dealing with a scenario where there's no rules and you have to kind of make up the rules, you know, and sort of adapt to it. So I do think we're capable of taking something that seems like arbitrary and confusing and can be really intimidating to a lot of people and kind of breaking it down into something where we can make something. And so I don't know where that's going. Sorry, that was a rant without a conclusion. It was just it's an interesting thought, Jake. That's cool.
Yeah. The thing is with, I think the world. Who am I to say? It's mainly just a few like clusters of society who's like having the grip on the mic, who could like dictate it to be that way. When in reality, there are like people who have literally from birth had to like live with what they've been doing, and they can thrive. They can be happy. Like it's not due to ignorance or like willingly looking away of it, but there's way to find bliss even in the strife.
Yeah.
And although that there are days that will get to you, like for me, and as I've said before, like every day that I've been like living in uncertainty and all that stuff, it's still a day that I can look back on and still have like a point where I can like clap myself on the back and say like, yeah, I had that day, that uncertainty then being like made certain so that I could have like a chance or like a certain like point to look back to and say that was a day that had positivity just by doing the thing. It becomes sort of like positive in the future.
Yeah.
While in the now, it's more like negative or at the very least indifference.
Is someone getting like notifications? I keep hearing like a.
I'm just messing with.
That's me and my I'm trying to connect so I can transfer this page, but my charger is acting up.
Okay. How are you doing, Frank? We're talking about.
Great. I don't know, you guys live in this world. I thrive in it. I can relate to a lot of that. But what you were saying, Josh, about your friend, that's what I get taught every Thursday for the past 6 years. So like I've already been in that mindset where like do you want to change your life? What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
So it's like, well, this went wrong and this went wrong. Like, okay, well, like, could you change it? Is there something that you could have done differently? What can you do now? Do you want to stay like that? So
I'm a little bummed.
I can relate from what your friend says.
Yeah, I'm a little bummed like Scott isn't on this part because I think he would have enjoyed this conversation because he was talking about that like coaching thing that he's doing.
Yeah.
And it's like it does sound like he was saying they have like a system of like extreme accountability. And I think that actually isn't bad, because I guess like how this would tie into like that whole thing with like the thinking about people I know who like are just kind of fine with just sort of consuming, like they just they sort of like follow the path where they can make the most money to consume the most stuff so that they can pay to distract themselves. Like, it's like a weird thing, but it's a whole group of people, especially, like people I know, like neighbors I know, stuff like that. And I think like part of the problem is like, I don't know if those people are happy. Like I will often think of it and be like, they must be happier because it's almost like the ignorance is bliss kind of thing. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Not
it's like,
happier, but like they're content.
Yeah. Like for instance, like if you, like for right now, for instance, if I didn't know about like, I'll bring up the Ukraine thing because that is a scary, weird thing that's happening in the world right now. Right. if I didn't read any of the news about it or know anything about geopolitics, like even the slightest thing, I'd be probably a lot more content. Right? But does that, I don't know, is that better? Like, I don't know if that makes sense. Is it better to be like blissfully unaware of reality, or is it better to be aware of reality and like, you know, kind of deal with like, again, like have some extreme accountability and like take control of what you can and kind of allow, I guess, like what, you know, in Frank's group or something, where they probably make the argument of like, you know, like there are things that are completely in God's hands that you really don't have a play in, you know, like
Yeah,
and then
like there's nothing
yeah.
that I with the Ukraine thing, like there's nothing that I can personally do.
Yeah,
So
for
I
sure.
just have to put it in the faith of God and you know, that the
Yeah,
people
and then like do
in
what you
control
can, but
will do something. But
yeah.
Yeah.
But like I guess that's kind of how I feel about like the thing with like people who just want to consume too, where it's like I'm sure that's like in a weird way like a more content life, because it's like you're just kind of walking through doing the paces. It's a little more mapped out, I guess. But I don't know if it like, yeah, it's kind of like the cartooning thing where it's like cartooning is kind of a pain in the butt, but I feel like people who are going to do comics just kind of end up doing comics, like whether they like it or not, you know, like,
yeah.
And it's like, I like to think that it's because that's just the better choice. But sometimes I think it's just the way we're built. Like, cause like for me, it's like, I'm not a person who can blissfully like I've never been good at like putting my fingers in my ears and being like, oh, everything's great. Like I don't know. It's
Yeah.
I like to be aware of things and aware of truth and like seeking truth and stuff. So it's I don't know if that brings anything to you guys, like any thoughts for you guys. But
in what has been said here, it's the natural response to it. Let's just take the Ukraine and Russian situation here as an example. So initial reactions, as far as it goes, like for Europe or Europeans, those that don't have the influence or the power to do anything, it's not that they're making the concession of like giving it up and try to like live on with it. That is not like the thing. They can be aware of it, but how much of like that influence do they have to affect that life or that whole conflict? Do they want to like go to the war, like volunteer to fight down there? If the country allows it, then maybe that could be like a way to do it, although that's not like recommended. Can they like make food or like deliver food or work the borders to like be like border doctors or something?
Yeah.
Take like open up for immigration or asylum, at least for refugees, and etc. etc. But it all stems from that natural response of altruism, and you're questioning yourself if do you have like the means of pulling that altruism into reality rather than to fictionalize it. In head. So you're trying to bring an abstract of empathy down to a real act of kindness or a real act of mercy. The thing that a lot of people aren't capable to do that because of their circumstance, and so judging themselves for not having like or like doing their necessary deed or the acts or the steps required of them puts them in a bad spot, because that's sort of like the natural reaction that you would like to have. Like if you had like a neighbor who's in need, probably like donating money to them or clothes if their house burned out or some shit.
Yeah.
Same thing. So it plays into like that psychology, but at the same time, it's like that Africa syndrome that you're sitting half across the world and you're questioning yourself, how can all that money or like that donation go to like building hospitals or give medicine or rice to people in need?
Yeah.
So it's a level. It's a drawn distance of responsibility and that empathy thing.
Yeah.
What that is found within the altruism that you're like relying upon. Like people want to help even on a global level, but
Yeah.
the overconfidence in that
Yeah.
is sort of like playing into that whole manipulation too. So you're manipulating yourself into thinking that you have something grander of like a purpose.
Yeah.
That is also like tied into like that altruism. You have like a destined or like a given purpose. So people that are righteously like defending upon that, they will try to fight it with all their might. That's like fighting through the resistance that they have like mentally and in the physical sense to like do
Yeah.
right. Then there are other people who's just like me who don't really have like a lot of say or a lot of like things to do. If I would give to charity, if it wasn't like corrupt, yeah, I would. Or find like a good channel that I could probably support. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then again, that overwhelming information that we're being like exposed to on the daily brings fatigue to that altruism as well. So
Yeah.
it's sort of like it bends your it bends on like your emotions so much that it becomes draining.
Yeah.
Even at like a subconscious level.
Yeah, and there's the natural thing of like kind of tying back to what Frank was saying too, where it's like you tie into like you kind of have to focus on the things you can do, and then sort of leave the rest. Like, I mean, if obviously as Christians, it's like we're gonna leave that to God or whatever. As a whatever philosophy, you kind of have to leave it to fate, I guess, is like the point, because like it's like there are definitely things that are like far beyond control, and so it's like and the part is like you were mentioning, it's like, let's say you're donating, like you've done your research on like the place you're donating to, that like the money, which by the way, if you guys are ever giving to charity, really check the charity. But so let's say you pick something really safe like Red Cross or something, right? Like a very safe charity to donate to. So you're donating money to Red Cross and you're allocating, or you found a charity that like specifically is like feeding children in Africa and it's legit, and you start giving money to charity. But then you start doing the research and you realize like there's still children starving and dying like in Africa. Like you're putting like a drop in a bucket that's just like never going to be full, right? Like it's this sad like just reality of like altruism, where it's like let's say you went into a burning building to save like one person and there's 50 people in the building. So you save one person, but there's still like it's still that overwhelming feeling of like you can't, like, even doing your best, you can't be all powerful, right? Like I think that's the appeal of superhero stories, right?
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
was just about to say that.
Yeah.
It's that imminent effect of superheroes that really like they could do so much more than you are ever able to do, and that is sort of like the fantasy, or like the inertia of that superhero, that there is a fictional person who could literally do those feats.
Yeah, or that things are as like stable and controlled to where like you could feasibly solve all problems. It's like instead of like sort of realizing like there's chaos and like you can't reasonably solve all problems. So it's like I think yeah, like I don't know. I will say this, like I'm a little thankful, and this is selfish to say, but it's like I'm thankful to be a creative in tumultuous times, because I do think like creativity and exercising and world building is like a really I think I mentioned this a couple streams ago. Like I'm not a believer that like all great art is therapy, right? Because like it can definitely delve into that territory where like the art is therapeutic for you, but like no one else is finding it interesting or getting anything from it. But I do think there is like a therapeutic quality to like exercising imagination and creativity that like can be like a really nice kind of it can give like comfort, or at least give you something to do when things are crazy, you know. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah. There is definitely room to improve on the world, but you just got to have like in mind that there is a wall of irresponsibility or a wall of responsibility in it that
yeah,
will eventually just hit you, and then you just have to stop and be considerate of the thing that you're advancing might it might have a finite to it, and all the worry in the world that you could have or try to like make a justification of it, don't try to fight it. That is sort of like the fool's errand, or like the Don Quixote of being too charitable, or being like acting too much into your virtue. And that's sort of like why virtue signaling is being looked down upon so badly nowadays, with all these people who are like tweeting about it and while actually not doing anything of
yeah.
note, you know?
No, I heard a criticism recently that I thought was fairly salient. And keep in mind, I'm like very much, I'm definitely of the mindset that like, I definitely think Russia's in the wrong. I think Ukraine is getting screwed over right now, and I think whatever people can do to help, they should help Ukraine. And I'm not saying that's a virtue signal. I'm saying like I've donated money to it. I've looked into organizations. I haven't found a lot of good ones, so I just go with Red Cross because like they're literally the people in Mariupol or whatever, like feeding people. So I'm like, okay, that money is being used well. And I'm going to do whatever I can to kind of help, but like, there's not tons I can do, but I will say I'll acknowledge ignorance. And before even like posting anything about it, I read like 20 articles on it. I looked on a map just to kind of solidify like a little bit more knowledge about that area of the world. Cause frankly, I don't know a ton about it. And I kind of approached it in ignorance at first. And I have seen a lot of people be really quick to post the flag. And I did hear a criticism recently where people were saying like how many people who've like supported this place could even point to it on a map. And I thought that was a valid criticism, where it's like, it might behoove somebody to actually like kind of know what they're doing before kind of being like, yeah, support, like,
Absolutely.
And I do think that's where it gets into like, I don't think it's bad to show support and support people who are getting screwed over and like need support. But like, there's a difference between like just saying like, hey, this is wrong on like a tweet that's not going to do much for people, or like doing what you can, I don't know. So yeah, but I do think signals are important too. It's just like it, but yeah, I did think that was a valid criticism, because I'm like, yeah, I probably, yeah. Anyhow, rambling.
I don't find it. I find like a lot of these things are handled flawed in a lot of ways. But who am I to like sit on my high horse and try to like condemn everybody else for not being informed? You're never certain of everything in the sense. It's sort of like the and then like the you mature to that thought more by the day when you've lived long enough to really witness that, okay, it doesn't really have a lot of like importance in my life enough to be that of influence. But if I do have like the opportunity, I could do a small push. Like small pushes like that move mountains in a way.
Yeah, that's a really good comment.
Or like one thing that I said to a creative friend of mine who's been like really doubting himself and like his work is that whatever you do and put out in the world, you do have an effect. It's just that you might not see it in your lifetime.
Yep.
Because like one breath could make a tempest.
Dude, that's so true for art too. And the thing is, I've had books that I put out where I thought like nobody read it,
Mm-hmm.
Like actually, honestly, like Two Stories book 1, like I spent 5 years making it, and I was posting pages as I went. I was like, I did definitely have those periods of time where I'm like, is this even worth it? Like, does anybody even care? Is anybody reading it? And then I've literally gotten emails, from, thank you. But I've gotten emails from like, I got an email from somebody who was like literally going to kill themselves. and the book, like, this is the weirdest, like one of the coolest things that's ever happened in my life. But they said like the book kind of caused them to like go, nah, I can kind of hang for a little longer, you know. And I'm like, that's huge. And I wouldn't have known that like 5 years, like 5 years in, like that would, even if that's like the one reader, maybe that's why I was supposed to make that book, you know. I don't know if that makes sense. Not that all books are going to save lives, but my point is, I didn't think the book would be like preventing somebody
You don't know
from
what
doing
impact it could have until you find out.
Yeah. And it
And
sucks
I
if
told you
you're
that
an artist
before
and you're
too,
robbing.
Josh.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
I
sorry,
told
go
you
ahead.
that before, that your book had helped me, because there was, when I found out about it, on you're promoting it on the show a lot, and like, yeah, I'll check it later, and then I read it in one day on Tapas, everything that was on there, and it helped like with a lot of stuff that I was going through and just questioning, and so it just like reaffirmed some things and put things in perspective. So it helped me. That's why
That's
I bought
cool.
2 copies, so I can like share one out.
Yeah, but like, yeah, so like that's very cool, Frank, by the way. I really appreciate that too. But like, I think what, you know, like Jake, what your friend was saying, that it makes a lot of sense, because we all kind of go through those moments of like, where you're like, am I just like a tree falling in a forest? Am I going to make a sound, you know? But yeah, I think it's worth it, because again, like, I love what you said. Can you say what you said about like a breath creating a tempest or whatever? That was amazing the way you worded it.
One breath makes a tempest.
Yeah.
Can make. It's it's sort of like chaos theory. It's literally that. You're never in the know, and although that I want to be informed as much as possible, I want to like read and try to like be well equipped with a lot of knowledge that I flex unapologetically. It's always that uncertainty that all the things that I might understand will eventually just like utterly collapse, either by my conclusion or by someone else's like work. So like it will revitalize or revolutionize something. It's you see that with soft science all the time, because that's sort of like a field that is always like at a what a friend of mine put, like a sandcastle that is always being washed off and then just reconstructed. But as for like in contrast to like harder science, it's like a castle, and that castle is meticulously constructed, and then suddenly a lightning strike just like collapses all that shit.
That's so true. Like, to me, a good example of that kind of thing is like, actually, so my friend Alan has a book called You Are Not Your Own, and I recommend people who are into like heavy theology or philosophy get it. It's a Christian book. I'll be straight up about that, but it's a really amazing book that he wrote. And he kind of deconstructs a lot of issues with society. But one of the things that he did a whole chapter on that I thought was really fascinating was like talking about how there's these solutions that people present. Like we have a problem, and as people, as like presenting solutions that temporarily solve a problem, but actually create a much bigger rift and issue later on.
Yeah.
So it's like the whole purpose being like sometimes even our best intentions can create like a massive problem. And I think he brought up like recycling in it or whatever, where it's like there's all sorts of issues with recycling where initially it was sort of solving a problem, but then it started creating like these actual like countries that were getting overloaded with recycled materials without the resources to actually recycle them. So it was actually kind of counterintuitive in some cases. And so like there's still like some net gain from recycling, but it didn't end up being this benefit that's quite as large as we initially intended. Like, and it definitely didn't solve the problem, and it actually created other problems that now we have to solve. And it's like there's interesting things like that are kind of like mapped on to so it's again like you could feel really convicted that like what you're doing is like the right thing, and still without any reasonable way to even know be creating a problem that then you're going to have to come up with new inventions or new things to like try to solve because it's an unforeseen different problem, you know. we're really good at creating problems as people.
Yeah, but that's sort of like that complexity dilemma.
Yeah.
In that things that that are like built to sustain or like trying to answer to a higher like thing without having a concrete goal. It tries to fix things temporarily, or rather, like be of a matter of convenience than long term sufficiency.
Yeah.
Often leads into more problems, and we have that problem. Have had that problem like forever. That's sort of like the reason why conflict always comes to get us in the end.
Yeah.
Civilizations, because as soon as something like breaks down, like the way that we've like made a complexity of natural resources and fuel for energy. We've built these so much of these things that always lead up to like a perpetuance of that long-term consequence.
I
Could have
love
been
that.
solved by doing like other solutions. Like I'm for half like for nuclear energy, with foresight of like doing like long-term planning and all that stuff.
Yeah, I don't think anyone who's serious about like wanting to help the climate like would be opposed to that. Like there's other methods too, but like I've rarely met somebody serious who wasn't.
There was so much of that demonstration going down, like from the 70s and up until like the 90s, about nuclear waste and nuclear, the threat of nuclear fallout and all that stuff. And when the Fukushima reactor went to shit, of course, people would have like that old Chernobyl fear, like reawoke.
Which, by the way, I mean, like obviously in the news, like there are some realities to those fears, right? Like
or a Long Island disaster.
Yeah.
There's always like fear and intimidation, and like one of the most tone deaf things that I've heard, like it was sort of like on the level of let him eat cake, the whole like electrical, just buy an electric car because of like the gasoline thing.
Here's the thing, I'm a fan of electric cars, but I am definitely
bullshit that is. Like, do you know how much waste there is like by buying electric cars? Do you know how much damage that you're actually doing to the environment?
Well, and that's the thing is like
electricity production.
Yeah, I was gonna say like, okay, an electric car
it's a roundabout way of like, no, but put a pin on it. I'm gonna have to like do it. You're paying for gas.
Yeah.
That's a fuel that you could like transport from like one end to another and then into the car and use that up. But when you're buying an electric car, that's a roundabout way to make coal.
Exactly. So here's the thing. I think an electric car is like a really good example of like a good temporary solution, but there needs to be more investment in like you were saying, like nuclear energy or better energy sources, cleaner energy sources that provide the electricity. Because I agree with you, Jake. That's one of the blind spots of people who are just like, oh, well, I got a Tesla, so everything's solved. And it's like, no, because that thing consumes like a crap load of electricity. So now you have to generate that electricity. If we don't have like a better solution for generating electricity, then we're just transferring one problem that destroys the environment to a totally other problem that destroys the environment. So it's like you have to kind of think on a micro and macro level about these things rather than being like electric cars, everything's solved. It's like, no, electric cars are cool and amazing. And as somebody in California, like that's great for a cost saving benefit for me. Like, but it's like not, I first off, I can't afford it because they haven't come up with a way to produce them on like a way that's accessible to like lower middle class and poor people. So that's one problem to solve. Number two, like chip shortages and metals, like would be a huge
lithium
problem. Yeah, exactly.
One of the rarest fucking metals that you can like make batteries.
Exactly. So there's a lot of bigger problems that need to be solved before you can even envision a world or a society where like a good thing that was brought up is like if everyone on my block, for instance, like bought an electric car, all of a sudden you're going to have a lot more power outages on our street. Because the power grid's got problems. So like there are a whole bunch of I think that's a really good example, Jake, of like it's like I'm not I'm a big fan. Like, I'm a big fan of Teslas. I think they're amazing cars. I know a few people who own Teslas, and they're amazing cars. And I love the idea of advancing technology. And heck, if we can, let's put people on Mars. That's awesome. Like, science is great. But yeah, like, there's a bigger issue that we need to solve. And I agree, like, nuclear energy, just working with energy supplies that are like potentially going to limit or cut down the need for like coal and like, cleaner energy sources. And nuclear is one of the cleanest, that's the most effective. However, obviously, like, there's even complexities to that, right? Because we just saw, like, if you have like an invading force in a country, like, take over a nuclear power plant, well, now we've got like major problems.
Yeah.
So again, like, none of these solutions are, that's the thing is like, and you get this, Jake, but it's like, it always is frustrating to try to have conversations with people who can't see nuance, because it's like, even the nuclear conversation, like, nuclear power has nuance. Like, there are risks, there's huge problems. I think the net gain is better than the risk, but it's still like, it's all like really complicated. And speaking of, we're at 2 hours and 45 seconds. I have finished, or 45 minutes. I have finished my panel, and I need to go have lunch and stuff like that. But I'm planning on doing streams probably throughout the day, because I need to finish this page today.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
if you guys are around,
Keep sending links whenever you're about to fire up, because I'm
Cool.
I'm up all day.
awesome. So I'll be sending links, and you guys are always welcome to hop back on. And then anybody in the chats, just make sure you're subscribed. You've hit that bell, all of that. That way you'll get notifications whenever we're about to go live. And then obviously, if you watch my streams and stuff like that, make sure you pre-order Jacob's Apartment. I'm not even going to do the pitch about it because I did it at the top. And then if you haven't yet, buy 2 Stories, my graphic novel about faith and mental illness that I'm working on the second page of. Frank, where can everybody find your stuff?
You can find my stuff on Salazar Art Nation on Instagram. But right now, what I want you to do is go to Gladman Comics on Instagram, because I just got a mini comic from him. And it's very funny because it's actually about death in Texas, which we were talking about earlier. So I think you can even get this for free if you DM him. So this is his first mini comic. So go check him out and send him a message.
I wonder what he's up to now. I haven't heard from him in a while.
I love it. And I was going to say, unless you're, what is it, an NCAP, I think most people believe in the death in taxes thing. And then, Jake, where can everybody find your work? And like, obviously, like, we're, this is the thing that bums me out is like, we have to remember this topic, Jake, because I love getting a deep conversation with you. And I feel like they always end up getting cut short toward the end. So we'll try to kind of continue this. I'll try to remember like nuclear energy, electric cars, and like problem solving. I don't know if there's anything else I'm missing there, but it was an interesting topic. I want to kind of put a pin in it so we can remember to hit it later.
I already noted it down on a post-it note.
I love it. Yeah. So anyhow, other than deep conversations and stuff like that, and if people wanted some like death themed stuff, possibly tax theme in the future, where could they find that?
Hold on. If you want your weekly dose of afterlife humor, you can find the existential Kinder Egg comic strip called Bone Meal. Due to daylight savings times, the times are now changed from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. on Fridays. Every Friday on Newgrounds, I drop them. I dropped them around like 4. I had like one mishap where I had to drop it like 3 hours later because I overslept. But Newgrounds at J Twister, not a W but a V. And you can find me on Twitter with the same handle.
Awesome. All right. And I will say this is ink, not coal. So you guys, I am trying to do clean energy myself. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Have a good night and or a good day. Oh my gosh, I'm thrown off because I don't do day streams often. And I'll probably see you guys in like an hour or so. Of course,
right.
Frank and Jake, if you're around, I'll just auto send you a link before I start, just so you can hop on. That'll do it. Thanks everybody in the chats, and I'll see you guys after lunchtime. Bye.
Bye.
Adios.